technically keep them, even though you technically, I guess, never own them. I don't know if that's the argument. Either way, it's
And
kind of bullshit because now you can't even everything is temporary.
I can kind of apply that to like games like MMOs like World of Warcraft. I
Yep,
spent
yep.
fucking over a literal year, like on my ass playing the game. When I typed in slash play, I had over 365 days on it.
Yep.
It was nuts. And you know what? I when the game go like I don't play it anymore, and when the game goes down, it'll be like, yeah, you know what? I had a
You know
good
what?
time. But I think
When the game go like
I think something like that. The only difference is that depending on
I
the
mean, yeah.
longevity of the game.
For a lot of those things, you kind of know though. Like if it's an MMO, like that is the purpose of an MMO. It doesn't have that like single player side. But
Yeah.
like more and more, they're making games that are like basically multiplayer games disguised as single player games, which like they have a single player side, but it's all like server side shit. Like it's all like always internet connected, always on, stuff like that. And
Hmm.
like yeah, I mean eventually what that's gonna be when they do that, the company does that cost benefit analysis and sees it's not worth the money to keep running servers, yeah, you're gonna lose access to that game. Like no matter kind of how much fun you had, and like it's one of those things where it just kind of sucks. It just kind of sucks. Like especially if it was a game you really enjoyed playing for the single player content, not just the multiplayer content. Like Genshin, has a single Genshin is a single player game, but you can play it co-op. But like as I said, I'm sure the way that game is set up is that like it's all server side stuff. So one day, if and when that game goes poof, it could be like 15 years from now. I feel like that's kind of like maybe the new average shelf life of those type things if they're really successful. Yeah, it'll be poof, and like that is the new scary reality of digital ownership, is that you don't really ever own anything forever anymore, because like it doesn't have physical media and you don't keep it, and the game is actually not run by you, it's run by the internet. So it's
Right.
whenever they decide that it's time to go, it's time to go, and you can't really do anything about it, which kind of sucks.
I actually wonder if it is server side because while I'm 99% sure it is, I did have instances where I'd get a server disconnect. I wasn't connecting to their servers because their servers were down or something.
Yep.
Uh, but I actually ran the ex file on it and it worked and I was able to play.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Like it's fucking it.
It's kind of bullshit. Like I get it, but it's kind of bullshit because like honestly, it's one of those things where like there's there's no more long term investments in something. Like gone are the days where like you buy a game cartridge or a CD and like yeah, like you'll have it 20 years later. Like whether the system will still run or not, that's a different story. But I mean, like at least you had the physical media. Like you had an ownership of the game in some sense. And like now that's kind of not a thing anymore. And
Mm,
it's like, well, what did I spend my money on if the company can eventually just say poof, it no longer exists? You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
yeah, it's like I get it. I understand why it happens, but at the same time, it kind of sucks. And like, if that's the new nature of capitalism and digital ownership, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that. Like, if I'm never gonna actually own anything, or anything I ever buy is gonna be for a limited time only. Ugh. Like, not to mention like you know, digital preservership, or like like half of we claim to be like, yeah, we should save video games as part of history. Well, it's like, well, is the company gonna let you do that? Because like like all these classic games where that shit was like super easy to hack, yeah, you still have, but like modern games like shipped by Microsoft, like you're not hacking that. If they want to encrypt it heavily enough, you're not getting into that game. And it's like, well, I guess like if they never put out a public version, that shit's just gonna be lost to history. And I mean,
Yeah,
it just kind of sucks. Like that's like some shit will just be lost to time, and it's not because we can't save it. It's because companies don't have no incentive to save it because it doesn't do anything for them.
right. I mean, even look at
Yeah,
games like you know like previous generation titles that let's here's like Scott Pilgrim, like using that as kind of an example.
yeah. Shit like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Still can't buy it on any modern system. Like the last modern system you could buy it on was I think 360. which was 10, 15 years ago. But like, and hopefully we're gonna get it back in a couple years. Like they've been talking about it, but like, yeah, just like weird shit like that where licenses kind of just fall through the cracks, and like the game is just gone. Like you can't officially get it anywhere, and
and
yeah,
of course,
eventually
like
like
the legality of things, like this is like, yeah, sure, you can emulate it, but like,
well, I mean, yeah, but like even emulation is like in this weird gray area of legality. Like
yeah,
technically, it's a lot. You're allowed to emulate, but like officially, I think the rule is you're only allowed to emulate games you own, which like low key, like 90% of games that are emulated aren't games that are actually physically owned.
right.
But it's one of those things where like something has to be done to change copyright laws, especially for digital shit. Because if like we literally live in an age where it's easier to save something or preserve something than any other time. Like it's a file, it can be saved on any type of media. There's like you can buy a $10 flash drive for like 60 gigs at Walmart. Like the technology is there. That's not the problem. The problem is like do companies want to make shit public domain? And like if they have no incentive to, and I feel like that's kind of bullshit because like it turns into some like Disney Vault type behavior where it's like, well, it's ours, and we never want to give it back, so we're just gonna like do the Nintendo strategy of fucking like we'll release a remaster in like 20 years that'll be like double the price, even though it's a super old game, but it sucks to suck if you actually like want to play the original or any other shit, and it's like you forget about ever actually owning something again because it just kind of turns kind of bullshit. Like imagine like 60 years from now, or like yeah, if you want to watch anything ever, you have to have a Netflix type subscription to something because yeah, we stopped selling DVDs a long time ago. Well, it's like well, fuck me, I guess. I guess I'm never owning anything again.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know, man. Like again, capitalism and like permanent ownership of shit by companies is kind of it's super anti-consumer, and like as I said, if that's what the digital future is, I don't want it. And to fix that, like we're gonna have to somehow fix the way copyright law works because I mean shit eventually should become public domain, and it shouldn't be like the company's like, oh well, we forgot to keep copies of it, so no. It should be like, no, you have to like publish this, and then like 100 years from now, it just becomes like free to use by everybody. Or it has to be like there has to be some form of enforcement or quasi enforcement where you're like, please publish this so people can have it for history, because otherwise, kind of fuck you. I don't know. Like it's said, I'm not super psyched for the digital future because the way it's heading seems to just be super exploitative. It's already exploitative, let's be honest, but it just seems to be more so. I mean, like especially with creating things that are digital, because like digital shit is magical because like I think I was having this conversation with Matt a while back, but the cool thing is like once the file's made, once the program's compiled, once the thing is done, it's there forever. It's not like a physical object that degrades. It's just data. Like you can save it and back it up like 3 million times at the cost of nothing. Problem
right.
is because encryption is also there. A bunch of other things are also there. You can also hoard it at your leisure for as long as you want, and there's no way to keep you from doing that. So it kind of turns into some bullshit where it's like, well, I guess they just own everything forever. And like the shitty part about like digital shit also is that like not only do you own your license of whatever you've made forever, but since you can copy it infinite times, you own an infinite number of copies which you can sell like once you've made it. So like you basically can make infinite money off of one thing you've made once. And it's like, well, like why isn't there a tax for digital things? It's like, well, because they only existed like it's the technology is only 20 years old, and our government's terrible at actually making laws that keep up with technology. But like, yeah, no, like as I said, the cyberpunk future in which we own nothing and companies own everything is going to be very real, and like definitely not super psyched about it. Uh, Definitely think we should do something about it because yeah, that's just gonna suck to suck, and until our country smartens up and actually like, oh no, that's actually gonna be bad for everyone. It's gonna be a bad time.
Gonna have a bad time.
Gonna have a bad they hot dogged when they should have hamburgered or something like that.
Yeah.
Pizza when you should have French fried.
You should pizza when you should have French fries. Yeah, exactly.
Shaked when you should have malted.
Yup, yup.
Yep.
Government definitely Yeah, they Chinese food when they should have stir fried. I don't know. I'm terrible at these analogies, guys. I only got that one I can steal from South Park. But the point is like, yeah, it's
Baked when you
literally,
baked when you should have fried.
yeah, you baked when you should have fried. Exactly. You did the classic. You put the frozen turkey in the deep fryer and you burned your house down because
You
you didn't
drank
watch
the
the
dumb
YouTube
fuck
video
juice.
telling you how not to put the like all you had to do was not put the frozen turkey in the fryer, but you did it anyway. And
Oh,
now,
okay. So I gotta say something real
yep,
quick. Like as
yep.
far as like frozen turkey and fryer.
Oh God,
I had a boss who best guy in the world, but he was a bit of a meatball,
yeah,
and he uh he would do, I guess, like a Super Bowl thing every year,
yeah.
like cookout at work, and he fucking I don't know if he was running late or something, but he's like, oh yeah, I'll get the hot dogs and got the steamer out and everything. We all go to eat a fucking hot dog. Well, the fucking guy he took frozen hot dogs and just threw them right into the steamer instead of like letting them de-thaw or anything.
Jeez, what an
Yeah,
insane person.
no,
Yeah,
fucking
like it's
But
yeah,
were they
like it's
delicious though?
yeah. It
they
was
wouldn't
like
necessarily
eating
burn
a
the place down. It's
hot
like these
dog
people don't
flavored
understand what it's.
popsicle.
Yeah, well, like the whole turkey thing is that like when you fry turkey, you're putting a shit ton of oil in that, and oil is less dense than water. So as soon as that fucking steam expands, yeah, you just made a fireball. Congratulations.
Mm.
So yeah, it's like one of those things where just like, don't put frozen things into hot things unless you want expanding fire and heat everywhere. But most people didn't actually learn anything in middle school science, so
You know who
there's
did
that too.
learn things in middle school science?
Who?
Pitbull.
August.
I thought you were gonna say Albert Einstein. Like I'm like, yep,
No, I was
it's
gonna
probably true.
say Pitbull, because
Pitbull.
he made that
Well,
stupid
I mean,
song.
he's Mr. Worldwide now, so I mean, clearly, he
Wait,
learned something.
he changed his name?
What, Pitbull?
Yeah.
No, no, it's his nickname. It's like
It's
how rappers
Pitbull.
have like 50 million nicknames.
Oh, got you.
Yep. But
AKA.
yeah, man, Mr. Worldwide. Dude, honestly, like low key, Pitbull songs are like the dumbest thing ever. But I'll
Super
be
catchy.
damned if they're not hella catchy. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, they're super catchy.
Like even like you just like put one on, like you entirely forgot about it. Like your brain removed it from your brain, and then you listen to it again for the first time, and you're like, oh shit, I remember why this shit was dope. Shit's catchy as hell.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, we should like eventually come up with a name for this podcast, but like
We're
on
doing.
the
Oh yeah.
on the scale of podcasts that should also be created, like maybe I'll just create like the Doomer cast, where I just talk about how we're fucked in like 50 different ways. Like 90% because of capitalism, but let's be honest, it's really just because people are stupid, and that'll be the second podcast
That'll be
in the
the.
series of podcasts.
Well, that'll be like a segment. People are stupid.
Yeah, that'll be. Oh yeah, it's like this week on how humanity's fucked. I like that. The
Like
the, the, the Doom Scroll podcast.
I liked like when Stephen Colbert used to do why China's winning the war or something
Was
like
that
that.
on his like actual Colbert show?
Yeah,
It's been
yeah,
so long, I barely remember it.
yeah.
Damn,
That used to be on his thing. It was like why
that was a
China's
magical time.
winning
Like
the
like John
war.
Stewart was still doing the Daily Show. God,
Man,
if we could go back there and just warn people about how much stupider this planet would get in like the next 5 to 10 years.
it's like guys, listen to this man. Like, just go back into the yeah, but go
Yeah.
back in time.
Do you know who's gonna be president in our time? Like you guys don't you guys have it lucky. You guys don't know how bad it'll get.
You
But
just like you go to like the WWE when Trump was on there and be like,
yep,
introducing the president of the United States in 2020.
yep. Oops, spoilers. You gotta fucking Men in Black fucking flashy thing though. Or actually no, shout it from the rooftop so it maybe doesn't happen because goddamn, like, yep, we are that stupid. But yeah, so uh what was I gonna do? Okay, so segueing into the next set of bullshit topics that I googled 5 minutes before we came on here.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, if this is gonna be a podcast, we have to have like some type of,
I had no idea we were doing a podcast tonight.
Oh, impromptu podcast. Here we
Alright.
go.
Well, I'm actually.
Well, so this could be the meme where like it's not a real podcast till it's a real podcast. So we'll all just make up like fake names. And it'll be like the impromptu like bullshit cast until it becomes official.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's almost funnier. It's like the pre-podcast. It's like you're edging, but you haven't quite
No.
you know
Please don't. No.
you haven't
Yes,
quite
you're edging, but you haven't
got,
quite
like
nut yet.
the podcast hasn't quite become manifest yet.
Hasn't quite came yet.
Dude.
We're still in we're still foreplaying. We're still foreplaying the podcast. We're still at the tease stage.
You know.
We're still lightly fondling the podcast balls, but we're not actually, we're not on the like full on hardcore,
You gotta find that
premium
that vein.
Pornhub status.
We're sitting on the couch and we're just caressing the leg and
Exactly. We're
warmed
still
up and-
warming up for it.
Alright, yeah.
We're still kind of, it's, we gotta, you gotta get that mental and emotional foreplay. That's the real money.
Yeah, you don't want to rush into it.
We're the podcast fluffer. You know what I mean? The podcast isn't
podcast.
quite ready to do its big scene. It's not quite ready for showtime, but you gotta get fluff the podcast. Gotta get it ready to perform.
Just like sex, it's not a race.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a race. It's a journey. It's the friends you made along the way.
God damn it.
It's the friends you made along the way.
That's actually.
It's the real magic.
That's actually what One Piece is. So.
It is. It is.
One Piece is a metaphor for sex.
Foreplay for when they find the treasure.
Yes.
And they open it up, and it just says, after like 1,000 episodes later, being like the longest manga / anime of all time, it's the real treasure is the friends we made along the way.
That's like one of my favorite jokes. Is like, and like my friend, you remember Jeremy, but like I used to say that to him. I was like, the One Piece is friendship, and he's like, no, it's not.
It's because he's still in denial. He doesn't want to admit yet.
He got so mad. He just gets so pissed about it, and I was like, but it's friendship though.
I mean, wasn't that the secret to Naruto? I figured that's just kind of the answer to every shonen anime. To be quite honest, it's always the power of friendship.
It's true.
That's the deep secret. The deep secret is anime was made by people that just don't get outside enough and really just desperately wish they had cool friends. So they write them in their animes.
Ouch.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's great content. So
that brings me to question: is One Piece over yet?
Oh, of course not.
No, it has 20 million episodes to go.
Dude, if as long as they can keep the money, like, why do you think we have a Bardo? Like, no one asked for Bardo. Let's be quite honest. By the end of Naruto, we all were just happy it's over. But nope, they had to keep the money train flowing. Now we care about Naruto's son, or we're told we need to care about Naruto's son. Frankly,
did Naruto die?
That's the thing. No, he's got like one arm, and he's like old now. Well, not old. I wish he was old. That would actually made the story better. He's just an adult, so he's boring. But because that's the other thing in anime. Like, adults are all boring. Like, anime is for the kids. Let's be honest. I mean, like 90% of adults watch it, but it's for the kids.
Also,
but yeah, no. Basically, the one rule of shonen anime is that if you can keep the money train flowing, keep it flowing. So nothing will ever net. Like, nothing ever dies. It's that fucking Overwatch quote.
Heroes never die or something.
Yeah, just that bullshit.
Also, if you want people to actually watch this,
whose alt is that? Is that Mercy's alt?
I would say.
That's Mercy's alt.
Wait, are you watching Josh?
No, he's just talking. He made an Overwatch reference. So
I was making an Overwatch reference to how, like, this is why we have 9 Star Warses, and why they're just biding their time until we have 12 Star Warses. I can't wait. If the sequel trilogy was anything to go by, definitely super excited.
I'm actually so glad I didn't get invested into like certain shows because
Baby Yoda might be an adult by the new Star Wars, though. That'll be a thing.
I can't wait.
Adult Baby Yoda. But you're saying you were happy you didn't get invested in the new Star Wars?
Well, just in a lot of fandoms because I see like shit like One Piece, shit like Naruto, shit like.
100% agree. What were you? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting with my own fucking.
No, you're good. You're good.
Like,
It's just
what were you gonna say? Yeah.
you have instances where like the shows just run way too long and you get disappointed, and I fucking
Well,
hate that.
it's because like actually it's super complicated, so I can't
Sometimes you
really.
just want a conclusion though, and then be like, yeah, you know what?
Sometimes you just want an ending. Yeah, like it's nice to say
Guys,
goodbye to a universe, for a little bit.
I don't
It is nice to see things retire. I'm not saying everything needs to be retired, but like sometimes it is nice just for a story to be over. 100% agree.
guys, I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but if you do want people to watch this,
Yeah.
it would actually be helpful if you both pulled up the stream. Because
Okay.
it'll add.
Yeah, just to get some viewers and yeah, no, I'll stop by the. I'll at least
Yeah.
pull up the Twitch. Yeah.
Oh, so I didn't know you were streaming.
Yeah, I've been streaming for a little bit.
It's too easy.
You
But
all
so like the last time we all had like a big talk, like did you do something with that? Because like we could have made that into a podcast episode. I mean, we talked for about an hour.
no,
I don't remember if it was me, you, and Josh, but we definitely had like enough content for like at least an hour's worth of podcast.
Were we playing video games?
I want to say we were, yeah, but I can't remember if it was just me and Matt or us three.
I know last time us three were together, we talked a shit ton.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he did like a couple mini episodes on his YouTube, which is dope. But like we definitely could have put out like a long form podcast for some of it too.
Well,
but
it's
I mean, it's your channel, so you can do the like yeah. I mean, you choose the format, obviously.
I don't. I mean, I don't. Honestly, I don't care. Like, as long as
Yeah.
we're putting out something. I don't. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be like I don't. I don't mind putting like a podcast on here, and
Yeah.
you know,
Like I said, this might be the pre-podcast, so like do it like
Pre-
break it up however you want it.
the
But
precast.
yeah, but
We're just warming up.
yeah, we're just teasing the podcast. This is still just getting people's mind, getting everybody ready so we can slip the podcast in. You know what I mean?
My body.
Give him a little Toussaint before we
Yeah.
open up the main event.
Exactly. We're getting them juicy for the podcast. We're getting them wet for that podcast. Getting them wet for that pee.
Getting that wop.
Oh yeah, getting that wall. Exactly. Exactly.
No, this is not. This is.
Yo.
I've retired.
There's
from
some
the
bros in this house, bro.
Before the podcast even began, I retired.
Hey, you don't even need to censor that.
That's how you go out on top. Oh, certified freak, 7 days a week.
Oh no, she.
Wicked awesome podcast.
Dude, that song is like.
With that Paul game, what?
It's so cringy.
It's so over the top and great. I know, bro. Man.
She's trying
So like, it's hilarious because I'm like, I saw this really great like TikTok video that basically had like the greatest kind of summary of like the whole like I'm not gonna so I don't want to call it fake wokeness because I think that's a little unfair, but like it's basically like Cardi B and like yeah, like female sexual empowerment, obviously do whatever you want with your body, yada yada yada, but it's just like and like it's cool that like I guess the what Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion was saying is like, yeah, we're so excited, like like women are being like taking back their own sexuality, and I'm like, yes, but I mean like essentially it's also like that double-edged sword of like all that song's encouraging you to do is like go out and shake that thing, and like what have guys wanted since forever? You going out and shaking that thing. So it's just like me, low key, dudes are still getting pretty much what they already want anyway. So I'm like, are you really winning? Like I don't know. It's one of those like I get it, it's cool, but I mean like we're acting like no one's acting like it's revolutionary. That's not fair. But I mean like it's definitely like not ignoring a long history, but like there's like Lil Kim, there's like Missy Elliott, like there's been like freaky songs out there before, and I'm just like, yeah, man, I don't know, like this ain't it, Chief. I mean, it's a catchy ass song and I love it, but I'm like, it's not like it's not revolutionary by any means. That's just my complaint. But it does sound pretty dope, and the memes are fire. The memes are grade A. So at least for the memes, let's keep that going. Yep,
Their macaroni in a pot? Yeah.
yep. The macaroni in a pot joke is grade A. I mean, who doesn't love macaroni, right? It's
Dude, I love macaroni.
real talk, real talk. But yeah,
Homemade
like
macaroni.
I've stirred macaroni that's wetter than this.
yeah. Well, did you see the like the Ben Shabino like memes about like he was like reading it on his like podcast and people were like making fun of him because he apparently doesn't want to say the word pussy and I'm just like bro like just it was super cringe but
You're talking Ben Shapiro?
yeah I call him Ben Shanbino because it's funnier.
Couldn't be
Oh, but yeah, no, it was really funny because just oh man, sparked so many memes. This song has definitely been like the mimetic element of like did the song come out in 2020? I want like this year's been so long I actually don't remember what was 2019 and what was 2020.
It came out 2020, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I can't even remember anymore. This year was like twice the normal length of a normal year. So yeah, like it was really funny. Like I was on my Spotify, or I got my like Spotify Rewind, and it was like telling me like what my top song was this year, and it was like "Life Is Good" by Drake and Future, because I'm a basic bitch. I know it. I admit it. That's just facts. But it was like, was life really good, or was I just listening to the song in a desperate attempt to feel? So I was just like it was really funny because Spotify basically memed on me for the same reason. It's like this one song got you through the year, and I'm like, you're damn right, Spotify. You damn.
It's like Spotify remembers.
It's really sad. It's just
like-
like I love those like end of the year rewinds where you just like see your like browsing habits and you just kind of cringe at like your inner basic bitch, and you're just like, oh. I mean, I knew it was gonna be like this, but oh.
Spotify's just like, hang on just a little longer, man. 2020's almost over.
Basically, it was trying to give me that pat on the back. It was just trying to be like, yep, keep fighting, soldier. You only got a couple more weeks. But yeah, no, that shit was really funny, and it was like it was super dumb because like it tried to like quiz you on like oh what was your most listened to podcast and what was like your most listened to like genre and stuff like that, but like it basically like tried to make you feel better by like putting all like the answers in like the top left corner for me. So it's just like even I wasn't sure, I just kept clicking on like the top left corner option and it was right. But it was like, oh, they just wanted made it make me feel good about spending my money on Spotify. Thank you, Spotify.
Thanks,
This is the kind of
Spotify.
capitalism I can stand behind. But yeah, no, it was pretty funny. I was like, oh, I definitely cringed at like all my top favorite songs, and I'm like, oh, I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it was that bad. Like I thought I had a little bit more sophistication on my tastes, but no, no, I'm just your basic white girl that listens to hip hop. I admit it. I mean, like I'm a 6 foot tall, like 250+ pound black man, but in my heart,
If it makes you feel any better, man, like I have for the longest time I had fucking one of the tracks on Undertale for
yeah,
my alarm clock because I don't know, it was high pumping, like fucking wakes me up a little bit, and I try to switch it up. Well, I got that playing through my Spotify, so like it links to my Spotify account, and I can just choose songs off of it to play as like my alarm. So that turned out to be like one of my top songs, and completely fucked up my list. I'm like, oh, this sucks.
oh yeah.
I don't
No,
want to show this to anybody.
yeah, no, that's another like modern issue is like you'll accidentally, especially on, like YouTube, like you'll watch one random video because you're curious, and that entirely like fucks up your like recommendation analytics. You're getting a million other things like on that topic. It's like, no, I only wanted a taste.
Yeah.
Stop shooting your digital recommendation load all over my face, YouTube. I didn't want all this. But yeah, no, it's yeah, analytics like digital analytics can be a pain in the ass when you do like one thing because you're interested in it, and then you're just like, yeah, no, that was the one thing I was interested in. Don't ruin it for me. But you're already in too deep at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so now that we've 20 minutes segued away from all the shit I was gonna bring up, let's segue back. Uh, okay, so again, we're gonna show the audience, all two people in the chat, are self-included how the sausage is made.
Right.
But I came up with 3 basic topics. First one I guess we can start with is like around the web this week. So yeah, like what hilarious and silly shit have you seen just floating around the internet this week? And you can just spitball from there.
I don't. Oh my god, what was it? Oh, I saw this thing where like this woman is screaming at Lady Gaga after she's singing, and the person sounds just like Toad.
Like from Mario?
Yeah, like it sounds just like Toad. Hold
So
on.
wait, is it like someone like TikTok duetting as Toad,
No,
but doing Lady Gaga?
no, like somebody is like yells something from the crowd, and the tone is basically exactly like Toad.
That's so weird.
I think I.
That's
Hold on, let's see if I can look at it.
that's so weird.
Um,
I mean, like, was this person's like natural voice?
yeah,
Like as I said, like you know,
it was their natural voice.
yeah, that's interesting. That's crazy.
Um,
Can you pull it up on the stream?
I am. I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah.
Word.
All right.
But yeah, like no, I know that struggle, man. Like do you know who like Ron Funches is?
Yeah.
Like the comedian? Like I feel like I have the exact same problem as him, where like I'm just a huge black guy with like the world's like tiniest voice. I just have to live with that.
Well, you don't sound as weird as Ron Funches does, but yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot that Ron Funches existed until I saw the G4 reunion thing.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh wow, I can't wait until this fails. Oh, actually, yeah, that's one thing I did watch is the G4 reunion thing.
Well, so like he's like that was cringe, but like cringe in an almost funny way. Like I didn't actually watch the whole thing, but like the vibe I got was that like he was holding all the people from G4 hostage,
Yes,
which
that's
is like a
that
super.
was happening.
That was it. Yeah, that was actually kind of really fun. In like a meta way, that was kind of funny. Like it. Like don't get me wrong. Like the actual like show was cringe. The actual like implementation was cringe. But like I could totally see like someone like writing the sketch for this like 1 hour special and being like, okay, so it's gonna be an obsessed fan of G4 from 10 years ago. He's gonna kidnap all the hosts, and I'm like, that's a great setup. Terrible payoff, but it's an amazing setup.
Right.
But yeah, no, like Ron Funches isn't actually gonna be the host of the new G4. I think it's gonna be the dude from WWE, Xavier Woods.
Well, I think he's
So
going.
yeah, that could be cool.
I think he's going.
G4 still going?
No, they brought
They're
it back.
restarting it. They're rebooting it.
Oh, holy shit!
Yeah, they're
Sorry, I'm
trying
so
to
in the
bring it back.
dark on like everything.
We are in the age where everything that existed like when we were kids or like 10 years into we were kids is being brought back up. Don't get me wrong, the same problems still exist, so it'll probably be killed off in another 5-10 years for lack of making money because they haven't really fixed the money making model of any of those shows.
Well, the
But
problem.
it is kind of cool to see some of that shit become rebooted for at least like another like 3 to 4 years before it gets properly deep sixed.
The problem is that G4, like without G4, we wouldn't have all these like really awesome YouTube gaming channels.
And
The
see,
thing
that's
is,
that's the thing. Like
what
that's
void does it fill?
yeah, yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying because that void is now taken up by the YouTube gaming channels, which are a lot easier to make and cost a lot less of a production budget. So, because it's just a dude sitting in front of a computer with a webcam versus like an actual studio with like skits and writers and lighting, and it's like broadcast on an actual channel. So, yeah, I don't know what the business model is here, but it is awesome to see like that stuff brought back.
Right.
It's basically like someone like wheels your grandfather in from like Thanksgiving. You only see him once a year, and you're just like, "Oh, hi, granddad."
Oh no,
And it's
no.
nice to see your granddad again, but eventually you just want him to go back home.
This is like
Yeah.
G4 coming. Okay, so first of all, like they G4 didn't have a budget, so they made
Yeah.
they made funny like low budget crap, and
Yeah.
they tried to basically do the same exact thing, but like it just didn't work. It just felt non authentic to
Yeah.
what it originally was, which I loved it because it was like so bad that
Yep.
it was good, and they just leaned into it.
Yep.
Also, we should probably watch this Lady Gaga thing before.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm just again being ADD brain and segueing. But yeah, let's check out
all
the
good.
Lady Gaga thing.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Let me I'm gonna play it on stream, so I don't know if you guys both have stream up.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
watching.
I got the stream up.
Oh, let me put the sound on. Okay. Oh, let me turn my Discord off just so it's not double echoey.
You probably didn't hear it. No. Don't you play that shit. Are you guys both in chat now? Alright, here we go.
Yeah, you may need to play it again.
Did you hear Toad?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I just like stumbled upon that. Like, I was like, why is it? It's like her voice sounds like Toad. It's like, what the fuck?
Was that recent or was that like?
I have no idea.
Cause I don't know where I saw it online, but like there was some, I don't know, it was just fucking people posting like random fucking webms shit, and there was some concert that was going on, and some fucking person in the audience threw a bottle at the singer, and
Oh, not cool.
like the singer, I don't know who it was. It looked kind of like Billie Eilish or something, but they kind of did like a hair sweep, turned around and picked up a ball and just like fucking chucked it right back at him. But I didn't even know if
there you go.
concerts and shit were still going on.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
no,
actually,
not many places. I know it's like I've seen a bunch of like people like DJing in like empty fucking theaters on Twitch, but yeah, I didn't think real concerts were going on either.
Jesus Christ. There's a lot of people in just chatting.
I mean, that's like just chatting is the new. I'm not gonna say it's the new Twitch meta, but it's low-key the new Twitch meta because I mean, like, you can kind of like, I mean, again, it's the podcast section. It's like you can talk about anything and everything, and it just kind of like it's a thing. I mean, words are hard. Um, Hassan Piker or Twitch Hassan Abi got to be like the number one most subscribed person on Twitch for like a month, just doing like politics, just chatting. So I mean, yeah, just chatting is blowing up. It's basically like it's the Twitch podcast section, for lack of a better word.
Right. Yeah, like people are playing like I saw Big Bang Theory in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, also a little trick if you guys ever do stream Twitch or like you wanna you can on Chrome at least you can right click and then you can click mute channel. Because for a while I was getting double feedback when I was streaming.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, that is a thing. Yeah, no, I can. I forget that. I always forget there's an option, but yeah, you can mute individual tabs on Chrome now.
Yeah,
or by website, I think. I don't know if you can do it by tab, but you can do it by website. But yeah, no, that's cool. I'll have to do that. What else? So yeah, what else is going on in the news? Josh, you have anything?
I want to touch back a little bit on like reboots and shit. What do you guys think of? Like, okay, so we seem to be like in an era where everything's getting rebooted.
Yeah.
100% agree. Yep.
You know, look at all the Disney films we got. Well, friggin' Mulan. We got like Beauty and the Beast.
Yep.
Like, what do you guys think about that? Because I mean, on one hand, it's kind of nice because you can show like I got a niece.
If it's a good reboot, I'm happy. But that's not the only problem.
Are we just running out of content, like, for people to think of?
It's the age-old problem of the Hollywood and creative directors and all that stuff being naturally risk-averse. And now we live in an age where there's a longer because it's easier than ever to save pop culture. Going back to just everything can be saved in ones and zeros now, and like content will now be around forever as long as it's public domain, which it's not most of the time, which is a problem. But I guess the idea is that like now that pop culture is culture, I guess the big merge of like pop culture and culture in my mind happened like within the past kind of like maybe 15-20 years, but now anything that's like pop culture is mainstream. Like nerd culture like became pop culture and that became mainstream. But the problem with that is that like being naturally risk averse, most of the people in positions to like start new shows, create new shows, are going to be like, well, do we start? It's kind of the marketing dilemma. It's like, do we start with a name brand that's already known and just try to pimp it that way? Like, it'll be easier to kind of sell because we know people already know about it, or do we try to build up a property from zero? And a lot of companies don't generally want to take that risk. So it creates kind of like a negative feedback loop of reboot culture, which again has its own problems. But it's frustrating because like you want new things to enter the scene, but of course like reboot culture pushes it out somewhat. Not to mention the problem with reboot culture is that there's just a lot of bad reboots out there, or even if it's a good reboot. This is kind of segueing back into kind of something I wanted to say earlier. If the business model isn't there, or the business model's changed, that doesn't mean it's going to be around. I was just reading earlier this week that the new DuckTales reboot got canceled. The new
Really?
DuckTales reboot was fire. It was super well written,
Well, yeah,
paid homage to the original,
had a lot
was
of
super
jokes.
entertaining, had a bunch of like modern comedians and like really good casting. Honestly, I would say it's probably one of the best like quote unquote reboots in the past like 10, 15 years for TV shows. It only got 3 seasons. Like, so why did it only get 3 seasons? Well, probably because the TV landscape is changing. Like again, there's still like cord cutting, there's still subscription models. Even the new issue with Netflix is you're seeing a lot of shows don't make it past 3 or 4 seasons on Netflix. Like Netflix has really decided to rein in the length of shows, which super sucks because I think unfortunately, as we move towards a streaming TV future, where I guess broadcast TV becomes less and less, you're not gonna see many shows make it to beyond like 5 to 10 seasons. I mean, like I guess that's 10 seasons is a little like
That's good.
that's the peak. Like
That's
I think
usually
only like
yeah.
100 shows ever made it to 10 seasons.
Yeah,
But like
I think like good shows typically make it to like maybe 6 to 8. You know.
yeah, but like that's what I'm saying on broadcast TV.
Yeah, on broadcast.
I think with the new streaming model, you're gonna start seeing a lot of good shows, even shows people like would call good,
Yeah.
be ended at like 4 to 5, maybe 6 seasons. You probably like 4, and I think it's because like Netflix has decided. I'm not saying this is true or not. Like I think this is actually kind of a it's one of those like decisions that I think is they made that's going to be that I think they think is smart in the short term. It's going to be foolish in the long term because what what kind of content do people like to binge? People like to binge content that has a ton of seasons. Like I'd say your most binge shows are probably your shows with your most episodes
Like The
because people like
Office.
yeah, The Office, X Files. Like people like super long shows. But now with Netflix deciding that investing in super long shows isn't getting that to them, they don't think it's worth it. You're going to see more shows end after 3 seasons, and that's going to put a whole kind of downturn on the streaming market, and that people are going to want to go back to characters and content they know, and they're going to quickly run out of that content to watch. And I'm super frustrated because I'm one of those people that like most of my favorite shows got high seasons counts because eventually like you're not just falling in love with the show, you're falling in love with seeing those characters.
Right.
And now more and more shows are getting ended earlier um, because of I just said I don't know what the exact economics are. I don't know what Netflix's exact decision making process is. I'm saying that if you want to build like a long term catalog for the future, people want shows with seasons. They don't want shows that just exist.
And four
Um,
seasons just like 4 or 5, even maybe 6 seasons isn't enough. I feel like,
yeah,
I don't know if it, you know, maybe this is just my opinion, but I feel like shows like Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, uh, seasons that went beyond like 6 seasons or so, a lot of
yeah,
people
6 seasons.
picked it up like when shit started getting like really really good. Like not that it was bad before, but it started
yeah.
ramping up and people started talking about it like five or so seasons in, and then it piques everybody's attention. Like, oh wow, holy shit, all this stuff is going on, and it's still going on. I gotta catch up on that, and then that's when people kind of like start binging and being like, oh well, yeah,
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. There's always a popularity lag, where like a thing doesn't actually like hit peak popularity until like enough people have seen it, and most people don't usually see a first season of a show. Like they wait for kind of like the word of mouth to go around, and then they hop in, because a lot of people have that like one show, the season one frustration, where like a show only ever gets one season, and of course these are the cheapest shows to buy, so they get shopped around on the most streaming networks. And then they watch it and they're like, "Where's the rest of it?" And there is no
Right.
rest of it. So again, like a lot of people like have a make like a mental note not to pick up on a show until it at least gets 3 seasons. And if Netflix is ending shows at 3 seasons, then a lot of people are just going to be like, they're going to start being like the new, like, well, I want more than just 3 seasons. They're going to start to be like, I want more longer shows. And like, I think you're, I think it's a bad long term strategy, because I think with Netflix has decided, and I'm not saying they're the only ones that have decided that, but I'm saying like there's been a definitely market increase of the cancellation of even popular shows um, on streaming networks that get more than a couple seasons. So like, I think the new reality of streaming TV, whether we like it or not, and I don't like it, is that you're going to start seeing shorter shows than they would have been on network. And I think that's going to be really frustrating, just because people like to, again, it's people like to go back to, they like long universes, they like long shows, they like things that they can keep watching more episodes. And if that's not going to be the case anymore, I think there's definitely going to be a big like backlash in terms of the popularity of TV, if they know things are only ever going to get like 3 or 4 seasons, even if they're good.
To mention, there's so many fucking streaming things now. Like
There's so many networks, and
you got
again,
Hulu, you got Netflix, you got Disney, you got
yeah,
HBO.
but it's one of those things where it's like there's no clear solution, because like it's one of those things where like, well, if you want them all on one network, are you lobbying for a like, are you lobbying for a monopoly because our monopoly is bad? Or are you lobbying for like a multi-network where everyone just kind of puts their content on one network? Are you lobbying for like a a la carte model where you can buy shows individually rather than just buying them off the network? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the clear fix to that problem is. It'd be cool if, I guess, maybe there was like one, kind of like how the new GOG works, where there's just kind of like one like content network, but it like branches onto other content networks, so you can like rent stuff from that network or something like that. But like, I don't know what the clear solution to keep streaming from turning into cable again is going to be, because eventually it just seems like it's going to be cable again. In fact,
I mean, how
cable was the intermediary. So like, cable in concept is like a step beyond what streaming is, because like, well, eventually there just be a main network where most shows feed into, and that just becomes the new. You know what I mean? It's a problem that doesn't have a clear solution.
and like kind of putting it into like a price perspective, how much was cable, you know, back when it was more relevant compared to how much like a streaming service is? And then say you want your Netflix, you want your Hulu, you
Yeah.
want your Disney Plus and your HBO, and what are you paying for that versus what you're paying for cable?
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where like, yes, this new techno future has some interesting things about it, but I mean, like, without a system set up, like, I think we're just still gonna get, the consumer's still gonna get screwed in the end, because that's what always happens. But yeah, no, I don't have a like I've seen a lot of things complained about and posted as ideas, but yeah, no, like, I don't know what's gonna stop streaming from turning into new cable, just in a digital format. And yeah, that's going to be super frustrating. Like, as I said, maybe hopefully we'll eventually get like some, like, I wouldn't say like agreement, but like maybe government mediated like multi-channel, where it's just like, yeah, you can now like watch up to 5 shows from each individual network, and you have to pay for higher tiers or something like that. There has to be some type of system where it allows you to get more than one show from a different network, but like not have to pay the full subscription, like maybe like a half subscription or a third of the subscription price for like a couple of shows. I think like maybe something like that would work. But yeah, no, it's gonna be weird. And as again, like with the problem of kind of the digital siloization of things, like what if like and they probably will. Honestly, I'm kind of scared of this. But I don't know, because I haven't actually checked. But like, is the Mandalorian ever going to be sold? Mandalorian's like the Disney Network, Disney Plus show. but like any of the Marvel shows that are going to be on Disney Plus, are those ever going to be sold on DVD, or is it just going to be like, no, the only way to watch it is streaming? In which case,
That's
it
actually
becomes
a good
exactly what
question.
yeah. Well, no, that's my problem. Eventually, if that's the case, then eventually someone's going to try to make that jump, because business.
And I
Um,
can't think of a time. I can't even think of the last time I actually bought like a box set of, because you know
yeah.
I bought Game of Thrones like when it first came out.
I have every season but the last season, which I will eventually get, but I just haven't yet.
And I have like containers just full of like DVDs
Yeah.
and different shows and shit.
Yeah.
But when's the last time anybody, like, I can't think of the last time that I actually bought a like a box set, or like even for anime, because I'll go to conventions all the time and I'll be tempted to
Yeah.
buy something, but it's like, oh well, I could probably just find that on Crunchyroll or
Yep.
fucking Funimation. Yeah, because Funimation has their own thing now.
Yeah. But that's the honeypot of digital ownership,
I
is that
actually
like
have
you
subscribed.
never actually own it. So if it inevitably disappears from Crunchyroll, then it's just like, well, I guess I'm fucked. And it's not even
Yeah.
just that; it's that like when you actually own a physical piece of media, you can kind of control how you watch it. You can watch it whenever you want to watch it. It doesn't cost you anymore. It's not a software as a service. You're not paying a monthly fee just to own it. No, you own it outright. And like if that model disappears, then like, well, fuck. I guess all consumers are gonna be fucked, because basically you're never gonna own any of the things you want, and like anything you want to own, you'll have to pay a monthly service fee for. So eventually you'll end up paying maybe 100 times the original price of the original item, because you'll never actually be able to buy the item. It's the honeypot of like vapor. I'm not gonna say vaporware, but like it's like that's the terrible fog of consumer digital convenience of a digital only ecosystem, is that because you can't, because like the companies will decide, well, are we making more money selling something to someone outright, or are we making more money just having them like buy it like X number of times a month over X number of years? Of course, they're making more money doing it. Like that's one of the reasons why like Microsoft Word decided to move to like Office 365, where you're basically getting the same Microsoft Word you had every year, but you're paying a monthly fee for it that recurs rather than buying outright. Like they're just making more. They're just finding a better way to make more money off you. But since you always like, it's a fixed need. Like you're always going to need Word or some other program or some other thing. You're gonna want to own a thing. You're just gonna end up paying them more because there's no way you can own it. And like that's kind of the again that is the horrifying new nightmare of digital ownership, is that it's a honey trap, man. Like they lure you in there for the convenience. Like it's like, oh, I don't have to buy anime anymore. I can
They're
just
honey dick.
have it on Crunchyroll. But then meanwhile, Crunchyroll's got you forever now because if you want to watch the anime, you got to go to them.
Well,
You got to pay the monthly. You can't actually own it.
that's the annoying thing is like I was looking for like Funimation isn't really, in my opinion, unless you're like looking for new specific anime, it's not worth
Yeah.
getting. Which
Yeah.
I was just trying to like watch some classics. You know, I was like trying to
Yeah.
watch like Yu Yu Hakusho, and that's on
Yeah.
Hulu, like the whole thing, and so is Inuyasha, and so I didn't wasn't sure. It's hard to pick what streaming service you need to go to, because then you have to go to each individual website, and then you have to like type in, it's
Yep.
it just I just wish it
Yeah,
was
as I
all in
said,
one
it's
place.
we're not ready. We're not ready for the horrors of the digital only uh
Era.
economy, because once we see the convenience is just smoke for them to basically have you on the hook forever, like drug dealers, because it's the same business model. It's like, well, I want them drugs, so I guess I gotta keep re-upping.
Yeah, but I gotta get them drugs though.
Yeah, I mean it's
And you,
it's the same idea though. It's not something that you can't just buy drug and own drug permanently. Like you
and at
can't
the same time, like we as consumers were, you know, basically voting with our dollars, like to say, I mean, in a way, we're kind of saying like, yeah, we'll fucking pay for this streaming service, but we
yeah.
also don't have like, when people are getting like pulled one way or another, it's like, well, I want to go to watch The Office. Oh, but that's on Netflix. Oh, well, they just took it off Netflix, and like
Yeah. But I
it's
mean, like
a lot.
you see my point about how it leads to the fact that like you'll never, not only will you never own something anymore, which is the end game here, but also now that because you can never actually own something anymore, you always have to pay these companies. Like these companies have made themselves like a fixed cost in your life because you can't just buy something and like, oh, I have it, I can use it whenever I want. No, you have to be like, pay me monthly X amount of dollars if you want access to thing. And it's like,
Right.
well, fuck. I guess they got me because I need access to thing. It's like
Yeah, because
like capitalism has found the new way to get you in the booty, and it's a as a service model.
But it's not a good booty.
It's not. It's not like you think it's convenient, but then you see that you've paid the cost of the one thing you wanted 100 times over, and you're like, damn, they
it's
got
the
me.
going in dry booty.
It is. Well, no, but like, see, it's not going to dry. They lube you up with the convenience, but they're still getting you in the end.
They don't use the good stuff that fucking doesn't dry out though.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. It does dry out because then you realize you bought the same thing. Like I've bought The Office, like the whole show, several times, hopefully like 100 times over. When I could just bought the box set once and been done with it. But they don't sell box sets anymore because we live in the 21st century.
And there's like a
Yeah.
benefit of people who actually like
Yeah.
I'll put on Netflix or I'll put on like Hulu if I'm trying to fall asleep or something, and I just have it on. And there is a benefit of
No, there is.
being able to
100%
put something
there is.
on.
Like, it's amazing for music. It's amazing for Spotify, or services like Spotify. Even though, again, I want to bitch about monopoly there because I mean, like, Spotify is pretty much at the top of the game for offering a delivery network for music, good or bad.
And I'll
Um,
just gonna say this: Spotify, like
yeah.
obviously not advertising, like not paid advertisement or anything, but fuck, like I wish I had subscribed to that way before I actually did because it's just so
Oh, it's
fucking
great. It's
useful.
an amazing service, and that's what I'm saying. But like, once again, like we, as so like again everything is an experiment, everything is a test, everything is you take an idea and you try to apply it in real time and hope it works. Like, so the same thing as economics, and so the same thing as government, and so the same thing as everything else. But the problem is, like, we like society hasn't solved the monopoly problem, because eventually if someone offers a service good enough, no one's going to want to compete with that because convenience. It's like, well, this is the best it could reasonably get. Or yes, like you could add a better feature here or there, but no one's gonna build up the whole infrastructure of a Spotify just to add one more button to Spotify that makes it better. You see what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's not. It's like you've built the world's. The mousetrap doesn't even make sense because it's not a mousetrap analogy. Like you can make a mousetrap easily. You can't make a giant content delivery network like Spotify easily. But eventually, like the technology gets to a point where, like, well, there's not really a logical improvement to the technology. So should we just allow a company to have a monopoly? I mean, old school wisdom says no. New school wisdom says maybe, but I mean, there has to be some caveats to that. Like, there has to be some way to like keep them from being like, well, if we are a monopoly, like, what makes it so they don't abuse the monopoly? You know what I mean? Like, should there be like a tax? Would be like, if you're a monopoly, you have to be taxed because you're the best in the game. Congratulations. Yeah, you won the prize of being the best in the game. Now you got to pay for it. Like, there has to be some way to like either rein them in or at least be like, this is what you can do, Monopoly. This is what you can do, Monopoly. Don't be anti-competitive because that's bad. Like, there has to be some way to be like to make sure basically someone who's placed almost at the top or at the top of their industry doesn't abuse their power as being at the top of the industry. I don't think anyone's figured that out, or no, certainly no one in this country. I don't know. Maybe other countries have because we're a country that's terrible at actually ignoring other countries that do things well that we totally could do well, but we don't want to because we like screwing the people that are consuming our stuff. But yeah, I don't know what the problem. I don't know what the solution to that is. Like, unless there's like a component of like public ownership or something that like guarantees that like the public has a say in whether or not they're getting effed over. I don't know what the solution to that is. But yeah, Spotify's amazing. I fucking love Spotify. Oh my god, it's again. I don't want to go back to the pre non having Spotify days, but again with that caveat of the digital landscape is that like, well, now they got me forever because like I don't want to go back to not having that service.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess I could buy songs a la carte, which I still do sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Like I'll buy, like, if I like a CD enough and I see it in like Bull Moose or something like that. Yeah, sure, I'll still buy it. Like that's fun. But I mean, like you notice how most computers don't even come with CD drives anymore. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
what's the timeline on being able to like buy things a la carte, or it's just like, oh no, you'll love the new content delivery network Spotify future. Don't worry about it. It's okay, guys. Just embrace it. It's easier.
well,
And then you realize you can't go back, and you're like, well, I guess I'm fucked now because I will never own another thing again. And they got me forever. So fuck me.
it's kind of like how records came back for a little while.
But see, that's what I'm saying. It's not because like, what's to stop them from just not offering those things anymore? Like records came back because hipsters wanted them back. But don't get me wrong that like don't mistake the fact that the records came back because there was a hipster market for the actual market of companies just realizing, well, if we just don't offer them the way to get it outside us, then we have them on the hook forever. And they're gonna start realizing that it's gonna be a problem unless we're just like, no, you have to offer, like, unless someone's gonna actually make the rule or make the law that you have to offer the ability to purchase a thing like outright for itself, then yeah, why wouldn't a company decide to be like, yeah, we'll only offer it as a service, that way they always have to pay us? Because eventually we're going to start making not only our profit of development, but we're just going to keep making profit off it. Because once we've made it, we've made it. Like,
Rent a record.
software service is the new way for capitalism to get you in the end, because it's like a drug. It's the drugs model. It's the sell drugs model. They got you on the hook forever now.
Sell
Because
them drugs.
again, it's a renewable resource for them. I gotta go to the bathroom, but you guys keep chatting. We're back.
Yeah.
God damn it, August. Why are you so good at talking? So, Josh,
He's our anchor.
pretty much. That's why
Yeah,
I was.
he gets it going.
That's why I had messaged him and I was like, hey, you want to come online and chat? And he's like, yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't message me back. Like, you both messaged me around the same time, actually, but it was like a little bit later.
Yeah, we have like a honestly, I think like the three of us have a very good chemistry of like talking, gaming, and like keeping the conversation going.
Exactly. I mean, like, I just think that the one thing is like if like even like I know like I think he has the stream up. I know you don't, but
I got the stream up. I don't have it playing, but I have it.
is it muted? Or
Uh,
is it paused?
Yes.
So it's only showing two people in chat.
Oh, okay. That's
I would probably just mute it. I mean, that's like your best bet. But
okay.
But yeah. So I don't know. What else? So yeah, we should come up with. Actually, we'll worry about that later. But let me see what else going on in the web universe today. Or actually, do you guys want to segue onto like obviously like we have to throw callbacks to the around the web kind of topic later on in the show. But for now, we can also kind of segue into our topic, which is really kind of the same as the first topic, but it's a little bit different. But like this week in kind of like pop culture or media or anything like that, like did you play any cool games that came out this week? Did you watch any good shows that came out this week? Kind of anything in that vein.
I think. Well, I mean, me and Josh, I showed Josh Power Stone 2, and he said it was the best game he's ever played in his life. So
That's a retro game, right? Like that's Power Stone's been out. Or are they making a new Power Stone? I can't remember.
Oh, actually, that's true. There was a Capcom leak that they are remaking. They're making a Power Stone remake.
Okay.
It was
like how many Power Stones currently exist?
2. Well,
Okay.
3 if you want to count the PSP one. But
Okay.
that you're right.
No one counts the PSP one. I got you.
No, people do, but
Oh, okay.
but nobody can play it because
PSP emulation.
because it's on the PSP. Yeah.
Yup. Yeah, that's the problem with content lock-in, bro. And I mean, I could harp on this digital shit all day, but like, it would be really cool if there was some law that just kind of mandates, like, yeah, if a piece of technology dies, you have to make that thing public domain, or at least you have to set a timeline for it to be public domain,
Yeah, I
or
mean,
something, because it
honestly,
really sucks.
honestly, if I could, I would buy it outright. If I just didn't have to emulate
Yeah.
the actual
Well,
game.
because I mean that's the magic of emulators. I mean, like that's the really cool thing about the open source sector is people have put like I mean, I don't want to put a monetary value on it because I mean that's the whole point. People did this with their free time, but they basically created tools to take old things that you can't play anymore and make it so people can play them in the future. I mean, like that's digital preservation 101. That's like preserving the
Yeah,
history of like human digital culture 101, and it's a super cool thing. Like the fact that there's a PS3 emulator where you can play like old PS3 games online. That's
yeah,
insane, but it's
that is
also
actually
awesome as fuck. And like, as I said, I wish like we didn't have to go through like gray or less than legal means to do it. I wish that were just a thing we could do that was 100% like fully legal and not gray area stuff because. I mean, it's cool to allow people to play these games. I mean, they're part of human digital history. You know what I mean?
yeah. Um,
And
how,
to kind of add a little bit on that, like that's one of the biggest problems. Like the fact that they're like the PlayStation, the Xbox. There was a point where they allowed like backwards compatibility,
Yeah.
and I don't know if the PS5 actually went through with it because I could have
It-
sworn that they were.
it did a little
It
bit.
did
It did. It did.
a little.
It can only play PS4 games, but it can play a good majority of the PS4 catalog, but it can't play like PS3, PS2, PS1. That's
Yeah.
all out the window.
See,
But
that
like
kind of bugs me a little bit.
yeah, you saw that thing. I'm not sure if you guys saw that thing, but there was one of the kind of big talk around the gaming subreddits. I think earlier last week or the week before that like you can put the Series X in the dev mode and put RetroArch on it,
Yeah,
which
that's
basically
right.
means
Yeah.
you can get access to the entire RetroArch catalog. For anyone who doesn't know, like RetroArch is kind of like a emulator. Like you can have like a bunch of different types of emulators on it. But I mean, essentially, like it allows it so you can play anything from like GameCubes to like PlayStation like 2 or 3 games on the Series X. It's literally the coolest thing ever for digital preservation. Like you basically have a console. It's not only a modern console you can play like modern shit on, but you can play like any game that you've like loved in history that has a functioning emulator on it
So,
for the most part.
well,
Like
yeah. It doesn't have like PS3 yet or
okay, yeah,
and it just got a PS2 emulator like a little while ago, and that's still like a very early version of it. So
yep,
pretty much anything after like I would say the Wii, you would probably be better. Like even the Wii to GameCube, you would be better off playing it on a standalone emulator than you would playing it on RetroArch because they use older versions of those emulators.
but I mean, still that's cool as fuck, right?
It's
I
still
mean,
very cool. Yeah.
yeah, like I was half debating like, ooh, like I like don't get me wrong, like okay, so if I were to buy a modern console, I would buy a PS5 just because I mean I hate to say it, but PS5 has the single player exclusives. They just got the exclusives. I mean that's you want to go to where the content you want to play is, they got that content. But I'm like, you have me half eyeing buying a Series X just because the idea of being able to play fucking Mario 64 and like old PS2 games I love all on one fucking system without having to just build the PC to do it and like hook it up to the TV. Like that's a fucking awesome idea. Like yeah, it's sick as fuck.
Okay, so there's only a few caveats to that, and that
Yeah.
is that you're still working with a very early build of RetroArch. So
Yep.
like it's not going to be a one-to-one with like what you would get on a PC. Um it'll probably it's like people have to work on that version by
Yep.
itself. But it's like it is really cool. It's like for me I would still play personally. I still prefer PC because it would I wouldn't have to tinker with things, and I could all the settings would just work, you know. Whereas like you probably couldn't play all the PS2 catalog or all the GameCube catalog. You could play some games, but compatibility would be like limited, and that's why like I was saying like standalone emulators are a little bit
Yep.
better.
Probably still better, yeah.
Yeah,
But I
right
mean,
now.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's a really cool idea of just having a plug and play emulation box that also doubles as a modern console. I think that's really cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, like it kind of back on the theme of like digital preservation and like just that should be a priority when it's not. Um, like I don't know if you've like kind of seen kind of any of the kind of talks about like how modern games are getting harder and harder to crack. I mean, with good reason, because I mean, again, companies want to protect their interests to be like, no, like you're not just gonna stay, not just gonna not buy our game when they come out. Like you have to pay for it in some manner. So they hide it behind increasing the complex layers of kind of encryption and like uh, there's that one encryption tool that everyone hates because like it slows down games until they eventually remove it. Like some type of DRM, I can't remember. Help me out here, Matt. What's it called?
You
It's that
talking about?
DRM they put on all these games
Oh my god,
until they take it off.
I can't remember. It. I can't remember the exact name, but
Yeah,
What game?
I
Give me a
think.
game that it uses.
they
That's
usually
one.
take it off. But
Well,
let
like
me
the
let me
PS.
just Google video game
So
DRM.
so the PS4 has the ability to take off the DRM, so like
Yeah.
people can capture it. But like the PS3 has that hard built into it, and so like to be able to capture PS3 games, you have to buy a special device that filters the signal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's like it's because like when I bought my backwards compatible PS3, just only so I could play like PS2, PS1 games in,
Yeah.
well, and like some of the PS3 catalog in like HD. Um,
Oh, is it Denuvo or Denvo?
Yeah, it's Nuvo. It's Denuvo. Yeah, that's the one that
Yeah.
people always bitch about. Yeah.
the Nuvo.
Which is basically like I think the way it's coded in is I mean there's a bunch of issues with how it's coded in. Like I think kind of like sits in a really weird place on a computer. So like some computers like security even flag it because of the way it interacts with like the rest of everything else. But yeah, basically it slows down games because I think it's like they compute through it like every cycle to see if uh it's running, and it's like a lot of games have been known to like shoot up in like frame rate by like a ton every time they take it off, just because it slows down like games that much. But I mean, DRM aside, like I could talk about like how GOG uh kind of is super anti DRM. Like they make most of the games you buy on there without DRM, which is super cool.
Oh,
That's
GOG.
kind of what I'm kind of yeah,
GOG does.
GOG, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. But like, the main idea that I'm trying to discuss here is basically that like it's getting harder and harder to crack games, and eventually, it to eventually like make it so you can build an emulator for them, or an emulator for the system, or an emulator for the game. And eventually, it will be impossible to do it, or functionally impossible to do it. And as again, what I hope what I don't want that to lead to is kind of the digital future I'm saying, where like it never comes back in the public domain. It's never something that you can just have a cool ass emulator and play a game from a system that's not out anymore. Like I want there to be some type of formalized handshake between companies and digital preservers where it's just saying like yeah, like for 20 years like we won't touch that, but after 20 years the company will put out an old copy of the game,
Well,
and yeah, you can just emulate that game. It'd be really cool if that were a thing. Like, I'm not saying that will ever be a thing, but like, imagine if like after 20 years, a company decided to like put out like an emulatable version of our console.
so
If they're gonna keep going in the console route, or at least an emulatable version of our game. You
so
know what I mean? Like that would be amazing for like public digital, and whatever preservation, rather than just there being like the remaster engine where the only way you can buy it functionally or use it functionally is by getting the remaster. It's like,
right.
no, I don't want 50 million remasters. Like, maybe I want to play the original game with its original shitty graphics because, they do something for me in my nostalgia boner.
Well, I mean, okay, so you know the Mr. Project?
Yeah, I do.
So the Mr. Project is basically all based around game preservation,
Yep.
and so there are people are making new technology like you saw the what the hell is it? Not the Roblox, but the Poly
Polymega?
the Polymega, which
Yeah.
was gonna use oh my god, what's the term? What's the term for like the chip that they use? It was gonna use
The FPGA.
FPGA, yeah, and then
Yeah.
they went back on that, but basically, that would have been the first like Sega Saturn FPGA because that doesn't exist,
Yep.
and but people are actually what you were saying about them bringing back technology. They're actually now able to build. People are starting to build N64 like HD consoles that can actually take your cartridge and then it'll load up the game in 1080p and you can play it with your old controllers. You can play it with like it's going to be 4-player and it's going to actually read your cartridge. It's not going to dump a ROM and there's going to be no lag. So
So that's super cool. But I mean, what I'm saying is eventually that will stop, and that's kind of the problem I'm leading towards. In which case that will end like because for two reasons. But the idea is not only will that eventually stop, because encryption on both the hardware and software side of consoles would just be too good. Like there just won't be
okay.
a way,
So
way
you're
to
saying like
functionally crack it.
once we get up to like the
I
PS5.
probably Xbox One emulation. I can't remember. Like someone was discussing on the subreddit the other day, and they were basically saying that like yeah, like no one's cracked hypervisor, no one's probably gonna crack hyper. Like it's gonna eventually end up in a way where like there's no way to actually access
Well,
shit.
well, I know it took them a really long time to actually like get PS3 and Xbox
Yeah,
360 emulation working. And then Switch emulation is like a fucking joke.
yeah.
People are already emulating Switch games.
I mean,
Um,
but Nintendo's like 20 years behind in all technology, so it doesn't surprise me at all.
yeah, pretty much.
Um, but I mean, no, like the companies that really lead the charge, like Microsoft especially, because they're a effing computer company, will eventually figure out a way to just lock down that shit completely, and there won't be a way to access it.
Well,
There won't be a way to emulate it, and in that future, again, it turns into like without some type of like tacit or untacit or even formalized agreement between companies and digital preservers, it turns in a way into a universe where the companies own everything, and eventually, shit will just be lost to time because the company's not going to see money. They're not going to see a profit in just making preservation a thing. They're going to see a profit in maybe remastering things.
well,
But it's just like kind of the old adage of like, those old film movies that get like found in like mines. Because I mean that's the best way to store the film. Like a lot of this shit's just gonna be like damaged or discarded or left wherever, and like a lot of those like for the sake of preservation, a lot of those things are already gonna be just like it's kind of like what we talked about in Nosgoth. Like they're just gonna disappear. There's gonna be no functional way to play it. There's actually a bunch of games like now that there aren't any functional ways to play. And that's going to be a real bummer because, again, like not only will it kind of be lost to history, but it'll be lost to the people that even experienced that history and want to experience it again but can't. So again, like I want to see, like it'd be really cool in this digital age to see some type of like new copyright where it's just like we agree with the companies to like make a code commit after like 20 years, just that like the code exists somewhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be accessible. It'd be
well,
awesome.
isn't
But
it
after
kind of
like
like
100 years when actual copyright is up, like it goes public domain. Because eventually, like that's kind of the big problem with modern copyright is that like the old adage was like basically 100 years. It's like 90. It's like life of author plus up to 99 years. I can't remember the exact thing, but like with digital media, like there's no reason for a company to save something unless they want to save something. And there's no way to enforce them saving anything. So a lot of stuff is just going to disappear through the cracks, unfortunately, not because it can't be saved, but because there's no will to save it. And eventually, even digital rights people or people that want to save it aren't going to be able to crack the encryption to save it. So, like, what I'd want to see is some type of law where stuff eventually has to become public domain because you are like when that stuff disappears through whatever crack or hole it falls through in time, you are losing part of history. Like
well,
whether you want to.
are you talking about like how like you heard about Final Fantasy 8 and how that had like its complete like all the original code like is gone?
Not even just that. Like there's a bunch of cases. I'm trying to remember what game I was thinking about the other day, but I went and googled like, oh, Yeah, that was months ago. I don't remember. But no, there are a ton of games that like you just can't access anymore in any functional way.
For money, yeah, for sure.
Not even just for money. Like I guess maybe if you had the original console running it, you might be able to use it.
I mean like pirating. Like, a lot
Yeah,
of stuff.
but
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of like modern games again, like Nosgoth, that were digital or that fell through the cracks of just development and not being successful. Where it's like, yeah, there's no way to play this. Functionally, if I don't know what happened to the code, but I mean, because no one's doing anything with it, eventually it'll get deleted because of course it will. Or and then there will be like no way to like act like that will be functionally gone. And that's what I'm saying. Like it would be really cool if like someone had like just I mean like shout out to like our data hoarders, but I mean like someone had just saved it somewhere, and it was just like yeah like we'll make a guarantee to upload it after 20 or so years, and that way you can emulate it or like use it and kind of like do your own thing with it. I mean it's one of those things that like society has a hard time to admit, but like it's the free stuff that builds society. It's the open source stuff that builds society. It's the open access stuff that allows creators to come in and make new things. Like that's kind of one of the reasons why like it's kind of open source tools like Unity or Unreal, like and game engines like that are so successful because like it's not isolated to like just whatever private company uses it. I mean, even those things aren't like fully open source, they allow creators to easily come in and use that as a building block or a building base to build new things. And the same thing is true about books. The same thing is true about music. The same thing is true about everything. It's when you have a large public domain, people can explore that and use it and build their own ideas off of it. And that's why you want to build up a large public domain. It's cultural infrastructure. And when we don't invest in cultural infrastructure, I mean, we don't progress. I mean, like if no one ever saved Beethoven's music, but he like gated it behind some type of, oh no, you got to pay for this service. Like we wouldn't have any of that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta get Beethoven's
Oh,
MP3.
did you pay so much dollars for Beethoven? Oh, you can't have it. Oh yeah, it's digital, so you'll never actually own Beethoven. We can pull the license to Beethoven back at any time. Well, like eventually, it might fall through the cracks for whatever reason or not, and then Beethoven doesn't exist. And again, that's kind of a overly elaborate model, but I mean, the idea is there. I mean, a lot of shit that just wasn't so popular will just disappear to time because it wasn't popular enough to get archived forever. When you could have just made the process of easy, you could have just made the process easy of archiving, being that everything gets archived forever. And it releases on a set timeline, so people are like super excited because it's like, oh yeah, this old shit that I grew up with as a kid, 40 or 50 years ago, or maybe even less, is now becoming public domain, so I can like use it and re-experience it again. That would be amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, it'd be really cool to show your grandkids the games, the type of video games you played.
This is what I used to play.
And they'll like without rules like that, there will eventually be a generation that probably can't do that because we didn't decide that preservation was a priority, and not preservation in a corporate domain, which is subject to weird shit that can happen, but preservation in a private domain where it's like, oh yeah, no, everyone has this because we just thought this was a benefit for humanity. But yeah, I don't know, man. As I said, I love the idea of emulation. When I first found out I could play fucking old SNES games on my computer, that was how I spent the semester of like shitty classes. Or I can't say that, Obviously, I went to school and did,
The
but like,
government's watching.
yeah. But no, like it's one of those things where like when I found out I could play Pokemon or like Golden Sun on my phone, I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Well,
And like I want that for other people. I want the digital future to be like pro human and pro culture, and like I want you to be able to experience cool old shit from the past. But like, and maybe not always have to pay for it because again, public infrastructure is a cultural benefit. It's cultural infrastructure.
so wait.
But
So
that would have to be agreement with companies and the government or whoever is doing the archiving to do that, and we don't have that. And I don't know if we're ever gonna get that, but it'd be amazing if we did.
So wait, so you don't think that the third-party companies that are making consoles now are gonna uh like they're not going to be able to save the N64?
No, I'm just saying. What do you mean they're not gonna be able to save the N64?
So, well, like the fact that they're making FPGA N64 consoles, like they've already made the Super Nintendo one. They brought like a
Oh yeah, no, like as I said, they'll be able to get to a certain point where they'll be able to crack the hardware, but or the software, but there will be a certain point from which the shit's just locked down too well, and they won't be able to do that.
yeah.
Because that's kind of just the nature of encryption and the nature of all those things. And it would be really nice if we guaranteed some way for technological preservation to happen after that. But I don't know if that's a thing. Like, so it's even to go back to kind of like the Netflix analogy. Like, there was a big thing earlier this year because 2020 is weird, and this is a thing that happens. But they just decided like any episode of any television show with blackface in it, whether or not it was like a joke or not, whether or not it was parodying the idea of blackface or not, whether or not it was intelligently used in that episode or not, just needed to go.
Yeah.
So they're like missing episodes from a bunch of amazing shows, including a really great episode of Community that talks about depression and suicidal ideation. It's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons is an episode of Community.
Oh yeah.
It's gone. It's
That's
not there
gone.
anymore.
That's
Yeah,
gone. The one with
you can't
Ken
access it.
Jeong
Yeah,
in
because there's blackface
blackface.
in it. Yep. Even though Senior Chang was doing blackface of I think a dark elf or something like that. Like it was basically a joke on the idea of how dumb blackface is. But nope, it to someone who was like, I don't know, up their butt about just I'm not gonna say up their butt about being PC because it's just beyond that. Like it's like it's thinking about doing something without actually thinking about doing something. Like what is the episode really saying? They didn't think about that at all. Oop, it's got to go, and it went. So there's now unless you bought the DVD of Community, there's now an episode of Community that you can't access, and
Well,
unless
you can also.
I mean,
pirate
well,
it.
obviously you can access it illegally, but that's what I'm saying, like, or in that gray area. But like, eventually there will be a day where like the content delivery networks will be able to decide like what stays and what goes, and because you won't have any say in that, and that's kind of the future I want to avoid. Because I mean, that's shitty for preservation, that's shitty for history, like that's shitty for a bunch of reasons. And like again, you know, deleting that episode doesn't really do anything functionally. It doesn't help anyone really, and in cases of like like what if they deleted like Huck Finn because it has the N word in it? I'm like, well, no, you guys missed the point. That was that was the point of the book. You know what I mean? It's something kind of stupid like that where like I like don't just like in regards to things like film or culture or something like that. I would say in most cases don't destroy history if history was kind of the point. You know?
Right. Like I feel like that's happening with a lot of things right now.
Yeah, and it's dumb.
It's weird.
Like
I don't
coming
know
from a black guy, I think it's dumb, and I mean I could go more at length on that, but I mean yeah, like it or not, it happened. It was a part of history. I mean I'd rather it existed so we don't just kind of have a giant black spot where we don't understand history in its own context. But yeah, no, that pissed me off when I heard that because I went and rewatched the episode. I'm not gonna say I surfed the high seas, but I found a way to watch the episode, not on Netflix.
That's actually one of their best episodes too.
Yeah, no, it's a really good episode.
Yeah.
Again, it's about a kid dealing with depression, and they play a cool Dungeons and Dragons game.
Fat
and
Neil.
Yeah, Fat Neil. Yeah, it was a dope episode. It was a really good episode, and now it's gone on Netflix just because someone up their butt decided that it needed to go, even though it really didn't. And yeah, again, that's kind of the threat of kind of digital ownership and not actually ever having a say as to what you do and don't own. But it's also just kind of the destruction of culture for no other reason than someone decided it was the thing to do. I don't know the PC thing to do, even though that it was stupid, and that's kind of all I'm saying about that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. Did you have anything to add, Matt or Josh? I don't know. I like again.
No, I don't have anything to add really.
Is Josh still here?
Josh died.
Rip Josh, no. We lost one.
So I did have. I don't know how long you plan for this to go, or if you
I
have.
can probably do another half hour. I had like one more. I had like two more things I want to go into, but unless you had something to do.
No, I mean like I had a couple of videos and stuff that I was hoping to go over with you guys.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I was going to talk about is that like in terms of just kind of making it interesting, like we should probably kind of keep like a non-static background for a podcast. I mean, so like that this works if like we're obviously doing something, but like it'd be cool if like maybe you were trying to play like a retro game in the background.
I mean I can do
Kind of like
that
how we did,
right
kind of like how
now.
we did the first time, or if we like were
Item
throwing up
back.
the videos for the topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Um,
because
Let's
like
play
again,
Boomerang
like
Fu.
if new viewers were hopping into the stream and just seeing like a gray screen or we're talking, you know, like the audio might be interesting, the visuals might not be. So in the future, we want to have some like visual stuff going on too.
yeah. I'm just gonna have the game muted though. So
Yep.
obviously.
Yep.
But yeah.
Tekken.
This is just.
Tekken.
I've been in training mode this whole time.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Lab
Play some
Monster.
Boomerang Fu, guys.
Boomerang Fu is dope, but I'm too tired to set up a controller right now. So I'd watch you guys play it and talk shit, but I'm not gonna play till I actually get my power line set up so I can actually play without lag. Because y'all kicked my ass last time. The game is super fun though. That was really really cool. I also bought a Pummel Party, so that's that like
Ooh, I got Pummel Party.
yeah, it's that like indie Mario Party. So we could set that up to play at some point too. It'd be kind of fun.
I played a few games on that. It's actually pretty dope.
Yeah, no, it looks really cool. I saw that they like stole one of the games from one of the mini games from. Of course, this mini game already existed, but you know, nothing new under the sun, which is always a problem. Some shit's fun, but did you see that snowball game when like everyone's like a big snowball and trying to like push each other off?
Yeah.
That exact game is the same game from the Bionicle GBA game.
what?
There's like a multiplayer mode in the Bionicle GBA game that has that exact same game. And
Really?
it's like it's a fun little mini game. Back when you could like play with your friends through link cables. And kids
Yeah.
these days don't know about that link cable life, bro.
If you had a link cable, you were you were
You're
in a good
balling.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the kids version of like a Cadillac Escalade, man. You're just rolling in it. No,
Yeah,
link
it's like,
cables are
damn,
fun
I
now.
wish we could play together. It's like, wow, I just happen
Yeah.
to have a link cable.
Matt, do you know if that's a feature in any emulators? Like, can you play like GBA games like versus other people? Like, do they have like a link cable function?
I mean, I know that the PSP has a link cable. Like, well, not a link cable, but has like a way of ad hocing. And
Like the emulator does?
yeah, and you can also play like online, because
Yeah.
PPSSPP is the name of the emulator, and
Yeah.
it's actually really good. It's one of the better emulators. It's like up there with
That's sick.
Dolphin. It's up there with Dolphin
Yeah, no,
in our PCS.
Yeah, no, I've seen people play Dolphin online. That's sick as fuck. No, like same with Null DC too. But like, it'd be super cool if they made like a multiplayer functionality into
So
the Game Boy emulators. Like, I would love to play
yeah.
the like Super Mario Advance or like Golden Sun or like Advance Wars multiplayers again with other
Oh,
people.
Dude,
Yeah,
Golden
yeah.
Sun, that's some good shit right there.
Can,
It's a
can you
deep cut, but the
can
game
you-
was fire.
can you play
What
that?
that's the game that got me to love RPGs. I hated RPGs until that point, or turn-based RPGs, and then I played Golden Sun, and I'm like, oh, I was wrong. I admit it. The game's fire as fuck.
A lot of games that I got as a kid were just oh hey, the box art looks really cool. I want to get that, and I got Golden Sun and just I hated it at first, and then the more I played it, I'm like, wow, this is really good. And then collecting all the gin, and
Yeah.
then when you get like
Yeah.
the second game, if you complete the first game, you can recruit all the characters, and they have like all your stuff.
Yeah, this shit was
Ah,
dope as fuck. Yeah, it was basically like Final Fantasy Light with puzzles. It was so good.
and you know what? That's another thing too. Is I can't think of a game that's done this in a while where you play the first game and your progress goes into the second game.
There's a
You know
couple
what I mean?
games that still do it, but I think the kind of games were like Destiny, where it's like kind of as a service thing. I'm trying to think of games that do that. You're right. Not many games do that anymore.
Like Monster Hunter, like Iceborne, but that felt more of like an
Yeah, it's more of
expansion.
a DLC It's like
Yeah.
extended DLC, like a second story. Yeah, no, you're right. That doesn't happen as often anymore. Again, that's probably because like life between the sequels of games doesn't happen often. And of course, like developing a game on a portable was probably a lot easier and faster than developing a full AAA game on a modern console. But yeah, you're right. Those would happen a lot.
Bingo.
So let me think.
So
Man,
some
I can't
versions,
stop. I need to play Golden Sun again.
some
It
versions
was
of
that good.
VGA-M. Okay, so apparently it can be. Yes, there is a way to play like link cable GBA games.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Fire's
like the RetroArch.
which GBA emulator is that?
It says VGB, KIGB, some versions of VBAM,
Cool.
and TGB. Numbers dual support
Cool.
link cable. It also
Numbers.
can be used for netplay and the corresponding RetroArch core. So
The numbers, Matthew. What do they mean?
the letters, but so yeah, essentially, like we could play it through RetroArch, is what it says.
That's super fucking cool. Yeah. Yeah, like imagine if I bet like online functionality to that. It's like I could take my Series X one day and play GBA games over the fucking internet with you. Like I'm digital splooging right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of bummed that the PS3 RetroArch isn't that great.
Yeah.
It could,
Well, again, cell architecture. It's super weird. It's a super weird hardware setup. With weird hardware setups, like you have to emulate weird timings, like super weird fucking timings.
well,
Like that's hard.
I mean,
Not an easy problem.
the original Xbox and Wii are like some of the best consoles to hack and like use for emulation.
Yeah.
And now obviously the Xbox is probably better than both of those, but depending on how you look at it, but um like if you're like playing anything like RetroArch or anything on the PS2, which it has
Yep.
on the like it has a tough time running like Super Nintendo games, so it's just
Yeah.
like you kind of got to curb your enthusiasm.
I wonder what the best way to do make an emulator for the PS3. Like, would you try to like build it all through software, or would you try to like make it intermediate, like build like an FPGA model of the PS3,
Well,
and then try to make like a software model off that?
well, I know like some people have ported like FBA Final Burn Alpha to which has like some people have ported standalone emulators, but I haven't tested them. You know, I
Yeah.
don't really have much reason to emulate on the PS3 when I'm only playing it for PS1 and PS2 games. So
Got it. Makes
um,
sense.
yeah, because basically I modded my PS3 and then I made it so like I can install ROMs on the hard drive, and then
Yep.
you can just boot the ROMs from the home screen. So it's like
Cool. No, that's super sick. Now, as I said, when I found out that you could run RetroArch on the Series X, I'm like, this is the future I want to live in.
yeah, this is
So like,
not the
yeah,
darkest
like I'm super pro emulation. Like the more shit that gets built out for that, the better. And like as I said, like it'd be really cool if on like 20-year timeline, old shit would just come out, because companies were cool like that. And you could like play shit from 20 or so years ago, or maybe even, I mean, it can be on a longer timeline, but that would be really fucking cool. Like as long as it's preserved like one day, like that's what I want. But yeah, no, that's super super fucking cool.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, did you have something to add?
Oh no. Keep going.
So so we're gonna kind of combine the last two topics. As I said, we're still kind of on the this week in media. But I mean, by this week, I mean these next 2 weeks, really. So in addition to like this week, we can't talk about shit without talking about upcoming shit. And big upcoming shit is
Start with a C.
The ninth. What?
Oh, I was gonna say Cyberpunk, but go on.
Yeah, you spoiled it. No, but yeah, big upcoming shit. I think it's the ninth or Cyberpunk, the big game, the multi-year, 2-year plus anticipation. CD Projekt Red, the next Witcher, but better because it's like a full RPG. that's build your own character based.
I'm gonna
Is
call it.
coming out, and yeah, no, people be hyped. People be very excited. So what are you guys' thoughts on Cyberpunk? I've really been trying to stay away from a lot of the YouTube stuff because like I'm trying to be one of those people that like, do I really have the money and time to play this? Absolutely not. So I'll probably wait like 6 months before I get it. Maybe hopefully the game will come down a little bit in price by then. But I mean, not everyone's like uh trying to do the R patient gamers route and still trying to get up front. So like, where are you guys' thoughts about Cyberpunk? What have you seen? What are you excited about? Are you gonna get it? Are you gonna wait? And yeah, give me all your Cyberpunk lore that you guys know.
I am in the exact same boat as you were. I'm completely in the dark of it. I've seen little snippets here and there of it, like months and months and months and months ago, maybe even like a year ago, but completely in the dark. However, I feel like it's gonna be, and it's kind of gonna be a topic that I actually want to touch on a little bit, uh, sort of adding to previous topics, but the I think the hype. I think it's so hyped that it's gonna, and people are expectations are way too high.
Yeah,
I definitely
totally.
100% agree with you. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it'll. I
I
think
think
it'll.
it'll be great. I think
So
it'll
yeah,
be
I
really
think it'll
fun.
be great. I think if I had to like set a like target meets expectations like scale, I would say it's gonna live up to people's expectations like 80%, which is a pretty high amount. Like I think most of it'll pay off. It's not gonna just like you know completely bomb out of the world and be terrible like a No Man's Sky. It's not gonna be kind of in the middle. I think it'll be solid. I just still think a lot of people aren't gonna get what they exactly want because I mean again these people kind of have this like built up idea in their minds of what this game is going to be and like seeing the real data out there now that's been talked about that it's been played by a lot of reviewers or like the pre-release reviewers. I don't think it's exactly the game people think it's gonna be, but I still think it's gonna be an incredibly fun and expansive RPG, and it's definitely gonna get people back into the desire for wanting like true open world RPGs like Skyrim, Oblivion style RPGs, but with even more interactions and features and like actual branching storylines and all that jazz, that badass stuff. So I like honestly, I don't think it'll 100% meet people's expectations, but I think for the most part, people are still gonna love it.
I
And
have.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
So I want to make my prediction, and I think we're. I don't. I think yeah, it's gonna be a No Man's Sky situation.
You really think it's gonna completely bomb out of people's
Mm,
expectations? Like it's gonna completely disappoint people?
I think people are gonna hate it.
Really?
I don't know.
Really? Why?
I don't know. I just have this feeling that it's not like the problem. So my problem is like once you hear something is as good as it is, it's like too good to be true.
Oh, 100%. Overhype is a real thing, but I mean, I still
Agree.
think you can get met in the middle, and I think that's kind of what's gonna happen. But what were you saying, Josh?
No, I think no, I agree. But I think I more so agree with you, August. Just that it's gonna be, you know,
If people are gonna enjoy it. It's not gonna be It's not gonna be entirely what they wanted. It's not gonna be even entirely what they like thought it was gonna be within the realm of reasonable expectation. But I think people are gonna enjoy it.
You know what?
Um,
I
as I
want.
said, this is from a studio that I don't think has ever done FPS. So I think the FPS mechanics are gonna be kind of picked apart about what people want versus what they actually get. Like one of the reviews I read was that like enemies are really bullet spongy, because it kind of treats it as kind of an old school style RPG, which not a lot of people are used to. FPS RPGs with bullet spongy enemies, people kind of bitch about that sometimes. Um, so the gunplay, and again, I don't know how smooth the gunplay feels. That was like one of the other complaints. Like gunplay is one of those things that it's kind of weird to design, and like a lot of people have kind of their own kind of mental ergonomics for what they like and like what they don't like. And for a studio that's never really done that before, I don't know how well it's going to match up. Like I know that was one of the weird things that people did or didn't like between like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 was that like Fallout 4 being kind of one of the second actual like true FPS RPGs that same studio that does Skyrim, but they did. People loved the gunplay of Fallout 4, but they stripped out all the RPG elements that people love from Fallout 3. So I would say they even lost ground considering that people go into a game like that for an RPG, even though the gunplay got better. But and yeah, like I've played games with great gunplay. I've played games with shitty gunplay, and it's definitely a real kind of like intuition, feel based thing for people. So I think for a studio that's never done it before, I think it's extremely hard to get right the first time, and I very much doubt they did. But in terms of the actual kind of gameplay and RPG stuff, I mean, if you played The Witcher 3, they're really good at that shit. It's kind of their bread and butter. And to take a truly open concept, like not a storybook, but like an actual kind of like D&D style universe, which is what Cyberpunk is. It comes from literally like a board game role playing universe. I think they'll have a lot of amazing shit in that because I mean you can't not. It's pure imagination. It's pure like like id, and people are gonna love the RPG stuff of this game. I don't know if they're gonna actually love some of the other like technical parts of the game, but I think they're definitely gonna love the RPG stuff.
Uh, so I actually want to take back my terrible prediction.
I mean, hey man, everything's
Hey.
allowed.
Listen, I'll tell you what. Like I don't know why, but I've just been having that feeling the whole time. I was like, there's no way this game's gonna be that good. I mean,
I think it's again. I think people the like what people really want is a good RPG, and I think it's gonna deliver pretty solidly on the RPG stuff. I think it's gonna deliver less solidly on the mechanics, but it's still gonna be enjoyable. So honestly, as I said, like I think it's gonna be like an 80 out of 100 in terms of living up to people's expectations. People are gonna like it. It's not gonna meet them. But of course, I don't think I have. I'm not gonna say meeting them wasn't possible. I definitely think it is. I just think that that's asking too much. I mean, this game got so hyped, but I mean, they've been putting mad work into it. A lot of the reviews I've read have been pretty positive. I think this will do really well, especially if they have a glitch-free release. Because again, if there's like a shit ton of bugs day one, whoo boy, gamers don't like bugs. So that's really going to sour people's opinion of it, especially on PC, because PC gamers are the wantiest, neediest children in the world.
they are. Yeah.
But
Well, they also
yeah,
they always
I
get
think
shit
people.
ports too.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's true too. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's hard to port shit to PC because there's so many different architectures and builds, and it's hard to optimize for all of that. But no, as I said, I think people are gonna like it. I think it's gonna come out good. I don't think it's gonna come out 100% what people wanted. I think again, like like people build up this idea of their dream game, and everyone's dream game is different, and I don't think it's gonna meet that because it has to be a real thing. But yeah, no, I think people are gonna enjoy it for the most part. Josh, you got anything to add?
We as gamers are spoiled. I feel like
We
we
are.
don't appreciate, like, okay, so this is kind of one thing that I was
I
noticing.
mean, we
Like,
are and we're not. I mean, there definitely are shitty practices by companies. But what were you saying?
so like I feel like there are games that, you know, as a game, as a basic game, like, yeah, it's fun, it's entertaining. It may not be like, I don't know, like we get it's kind of, actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm actually gonna go on your point a little bit. Uh, we get like these AAA games that come out, and people will rip on them if they are not 100%
100%. Yeah.
exactly 100% exactly what they expected.
What they
But then,
wanted
like,
and what they dreamed of and what they fantasized of in their dreams while they jerked off their EPs. Yeah.
but at the same time, like, we also get like, while I don't quite entirely agree with, if a game's entertaining, yeah, if there's like small issues, or as long as there's not something major with it. If you spend, like, I kind of look at video games like in the way as I would go see a movie. If I am going to pay, 12, 15, 18 bucks to go see a movie, whatever the hell it is now, and it's a 2-hour movie, I'll equate that to, well, how much am I paying for this game, and how long do I think I'm going to spend on it? Like, is there enough content in this? Is it buggy? Does it look nice? Is the gameplay uh, in depth, or at least entertaining? But on the flip side, like, we have like AAA titles that come out that are just fucking, or not AAA titles. I'm sorry. Like games that are developed by like just a couple developers. I mean, look at what is it? Phantaz.
Phasmophobia.
Yeah, that game. I mean, isn't that as from what I read, it was like it's only developed by like a couple people.
Oh yeah, dude. Indie studios are killing it lately. Honestly, like I think that industry is like, what would I
So
compare it to? Yeah, it's
on one
just
hand, I
amazing. It's
agree with
amazing.
people. Like, I agree. On one hand, I don't like agree like with some games. Like, I'll use the new Watch Dogs for instance. Uh, I didn't, I was tempted to buy it, but a lot of people were, you know, ripping it apart, saying, "Oh, there's so much that should be expected of this game," and
Yeah.
as somebody who's never played the series, and wanting to, give it a shot, I might. It just made me wait for it to go on sale if I ever do decide to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those weird things where I'm not gonna say it's the same as the Hollywood kind of risk averse problem, but like a lot of the games that are becoming popular, that are going viral nowadays, are indie games that decide to take chances and do something new. And what is the opposite of what a AAA studio that like spends an extraordinary amount of money on a game wants to do? Take a chance, because if that doesn't pay off, you know what I mean. They don't want to be in the hole. Now, granted, I think you know they're being too risk averse and they're not willing to take enough of a chance, especially on an established franchise, to make things interesting and memorable. And like, I would definitely say there were some super cool fucking elements of Watch Dogs 3 that I heard about, like kind of the whole like permadeath of companions and like a bunch of like very RPG elements that were like sounded actually pretty badass. About how like there's branching companion storylines and like different people that you decide to either kill or just knock out that affects other people down the road, because you're going to be like the relative of that so and so person in like another capacity, and they'll either decide to help you or not help you based on what you did with the first person. Like I think that shit's super fucking cool. Like that's what some of the stuff gamers wanted for forever, of like feeling like it's actual persistent world where like the choices you make matter and interact with other choices that you didn't make or didn't know about. I just think you gotta give people a little bit more than that. Like I almost felt like they played it safe there, where they really should have leaned into the RPG ish like roguelike elements and made something that's like truly memorable. I think that's the stuff that gets you positive buzz nowadays, like innovative ideas rather than like just better graphics, or more polished gameplay. That's not really. It's a. I'm not gonna say it's a diminishing returns on that, but like if you're a AAA studio, that's almost expected of you. Even though again, that's a real development effort in and of itself. But people want more than that. They want innovation, and you don't really see that with a lot of big studios, unfortunately.
Yeah, I actually heard that on Watch Dogs they stripped a lot of the content out.
Yeah, yeah, that happens. And I mean, maybe they do it permanently, maybe they do it as DLC. But when people get a watered down product, or when they feel like they're getting a watered down product, it shows in just lack of enthusiasm.
Yeah, and how is it that you get like these 1-2 developers that make a game like you know Phasmophobia or whatever. What was another one? I think like just a lot of indie developers.
Dude, they're again, they have
Yeah,
they're hungry and they have good ideas, and they're willing to take new approaches to things because they're small developers, and they're not as beholden to the old ways of doing things, or being risk averse in doing things. Or I mean, again, they're just willing to take chances and to do something different. And
and
just
here's
because
another
they have the
comparison.
creative,
Like,
yeah.
let's look at Mighty Nine or whatever the fuck that was. You remember that game? You ever see that game, Mighty
So
Number Nine?
I'm torn because I think I want to say that game suffered from two things. Because I actually liked the base design of that thing, like Mega Man, but with combos. I think that's really a cool idea. I just don't think they leaned far enough into being different. I also think that also suffered from overhype too. I mean, for whatever reason people had the idea of that the creative Mega Man was going to create, I don't know, something 10 times more complicated or deeper than Mega Man, and it's like, guys, you're asking for, you want Mega Man. Like Mega Man isn't complicated. That's not what makes it fun. Mega Man is
Right.
simple. That's what makes it fun. Like it's simple mechanics that you instantaneously get, and you can extrapolate how to play the rest of the game. Like that's what makes Mega Man fun. I don't know what people wanted when they saw Mighty Number Nine. Obviously they didn't get it.
Well, I
Uh,
introduced Matt to have you seen the game 20XX?
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah,
I
that was,
know, right? And
Yeah.
as far as I recall, like that, I don't think that had like a big team developing,
no, it wasn't.
but it was
Actually, I
so
saw an
fucking
interview with
good.
one of the team members. But I mean, one of the cool things about that game is it's a roguelike. Like each level is procedurally generated, so it's different every time. I mean,
Right.
it's cool, innovative shit like that I mean, people really are responding to nowadays.
I agree though. Like bigger companies just need to take risks, but
They do. They 100% do. They need to be a little bit more innovative and a little bit less risk averse and just be willing to try new and funky shit because that's what gets fans nowadays, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I should say. But I mean, it's that double-edged sword where I'm like, you can be the most polished and graphically fidelity. I don't know what word you can be the most polished and pretty looking game in the world nowadays, but if you're a big studio, that's not gonna sell copies. Like you need something. People are there for new shit because it's a new game, and like if you're not delivering new shit for them, then yeah, I mean it's diminishing returns. You know, they're not gonna be as enthused about the third sequel of your product as the first version of your product when it came out.
if we're gonna talk about sequels, game that did sequels right, except for maybe like one or two, fucking Devil May Cry.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Uh,
don't people hate like 2 or 3 or something like that?
Two is
Like I know
bad.
one of them's
two doesn't
pretty.
exist, and three was amazing.
We don't,
One
we don't
was
talk about that.
yeah, we don't talk about two. Three was amazing. DMC was
I've heard
you know
DMC was good, but no one wanted a reboot.
Nobody wanted. Okay, so the gameplay is fine. The gameplay is not bad. It's good.
it's not it's it's a good for like if it wasn't a Devil May Cry game, if that was just
Yeah,
like a
exactly. That could
but
anything else.
another thing too is that from like I actually got a little kind of ticked off like the what's the fucking guy's name? The developer was basically like shitting on like hardcore Devil May Cry fans, saying like, well,
Well, yeah,
nobody.
because he wanted a reboot, but no one else wanted a reboot. He was mad that people wanted old Dante. I'm like, old Dante's cool.
But he was saying shit like, oh yeah, people don't, they don't know what they want, and they don't, why would anybody ever like have this sort of like the red coat is fucking dumb, and
yeah,
nobody wants all those like combos and shit like that, like being able to like just gameplay shit was
yeah. I mean, that's the classic adage of.
yeah.
I mean, a creator not understanding what makes his stuff popular, which happens all the time. Honestly,
Well,
that's not a new phenomenon.
he wasn't
They're,
the creator though. I mean
Director.
he was they outsourced DMC to a different company that wasn't Capcom because at the time Western games were a little bit more popular, so they wanted to give Devil May Cry a more Western look, which is why it's DMC, and it's like it's not Dante doing crazy stuff, and because it's like that's apparently super Japanese or something. I don't know.
Witty banter and
It's just tone deaf.
a little bit of comic.
yeah,
Like that's another thing too is like Devil May Cry always kind of had like not heavy, but it had sort of like slight comical moments, like a
yeah,
little more so as it got into the series, like
yeah,
as not two, as 4 and 3 kind of went along. But
yeah,
I was actually reading up on Devil May Cry 2, not to get too off topic, but like seeing all the problems like with how Devil May Cry 2 was developed, because from what I understand, they were developing it along the same time as Devil May Cry 1, and they didn't really have stuff to go off of.
Mhm.
So they were kind of like doing everything in the dark, and when they saw how people were liking Devil May Cry 1 when it was released, because I guess there was like no kind of communication, uh, they there were a lot of issues with it that they just tried to salvage, and they didn't have like enough time to actually get it out. So like it wasn't so much the people developing it, just like, well, it was, but it wasn't. Like they just were so time constrained or had too much time constraint to them.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that's kind of how I think game development in kind of like the early 2000s and shit kind of went. Is that like it was kind of similar budgets to what studios are doing now, In that, but they weren't indie studios. They were the big studios then, so they were on really tight timetables to turn around, like pretty heavily expected games in really short times, and like a lot of stuff just fell through the cracks,
Did,
unfortunately. And just casualty of game development timelines.
did you know that
And bad management, and I think DMCA2 is kind of regarded as one of the things that kind of did fall through the cracks because of that.
my bad.
Oh,
Did
what
you
were you
know
saying, Matt?
that the director of they still don't know who the director of DMC2 is?
Oh, that's funny.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows who the director of DMC2 is. Like people, of course, that worked in Capcom did, but there's no like
What? How is it listed in the credits?
So I can't remember, but I don't think he took his name off of it. So
Oh shit.
because so the thing is that it was going the first development cycle of the game. Um, Basically, it was directed by this other director at Capcom, and it went so poorly that they brought in the director of the first game, and that's why there's like which is why it like came out and it was pretty much unfinished, and you have like so many wide spaces and stuff like that, you know.
Hmm.
Um, at least from what I had heard, and so it's like it's kind of like why the whole thing's a clusterfuck, and it's kind of it looks cool, but you know, other than like Dante's cool coat, like and
It's not a great game.
it's
Yeah.
not a great game, and like it's basically it's lame because I knew when I beat that game on the hardest difficulty, I was like, this isn't Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I played through the first Devil May Cry, and I was hardly able to beat like hard mode, or I struggled
It's a bummer.
because I wasn't very good at video games. I wasn't good at that video game, and so like when I beat it on like ultra hard, I was like, wow, this was really easy. All I did was shoot everything. This is lame.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, because that franchise was made, we eventually got DMCA 5, which I think set the new standard for the polish of game feel in an action game. Oh my god, that game feels amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, Shit, bro. Like this is I don't even think like in when DMCA 3 came out, your brain could conceive that like controls, mechanics, and game feel and like the level of complexity, but still fun, could get that high. I really think DMC 5 redefined the standard of like what could be done for an action game. And I hope to see games live up to that standard in the future. But holy
And
shit,
that's what you get too, like for like companies listening to their, listening to their fans and the people who love the game.
Yeah. Like
it's practically like a one-player fighting game. It's amazing.
with how complex it is, yeah. Like
yeah, it's
like I was watching the speed run for C3, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually really cool. He wasn't like necessarily like super technical and doing fancy stuff, but like that game is broken at its like at its core.
And you know what? That's the nice thing about Devil May Cry is you don't need to be super 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 technical about it. Yeah, you have to learn like how to string things together, and you can't always just what's the word, brute force your way through a level or brute force your way through an encounter.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the technicalities are there, like for people who want to get like super fucking in depth. Like I've seen people like just watching YouTube vids of, I thought I was pretty decent at like stringing things together, and then I looked up people who actually know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And like just seeing them take a single opponent and juggle them in the air for like 15-20 seconds and just string together this massive combo that I would, there's no way I could do that.
Yeah, that game.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's no, what were you saying, Matt?
Has a legit training mode.
Yeah, no, it's
like
it's
in a fighting
bonkers, bro.
Game. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, like it's like as I said, it's like a one-player fighting game. It's nuts. Yeah, it's so cool.
It makes me want to play it again, so I can actually try to like learn how to do like hard stuff and be fancy.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited for when that Virgil shit comes out, bro. Like I know it's not out on PC yet, but
Yeah, no, it's very cool. Again, it does two amazing things, in that it makes you feel like a badass, like a Musou game, like a Dynasty Warriors. But the mechanics are actually deep, unlike a Dynasty Warriors. So it actually makes you kind of like learn the actual game and learn how to fight different enemies, and it's just very cool.
Oh my god, Dynasty Warriors Gundam.
Dude, I still need to play the new one, the Maxi Bursts.
I did.
I don't know. The Gundam game titles have like the world's longest title. Like I don't even remember what it's called anymore.
Wait, hold on.
But
Let me see real quick. Hold on. I gotta look up which one I have.
but I have build fighters too. But I want to play that other one, like Maxi Boost on Z, yada 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 yada. But yeah, no. DMC5, amazing game. Like as so much so that a DMCA6 I want now. Whereas that franchise had been dead for what, like 8 to 10 years.
It's gonna happen because
Oh yeah,
DMC5 was one of the best-selling games
so
on the PS4.
good. So good. And I mean, like that's one of the things. Like that's a franchise where just good, amazing game design and understanding kind of what made the game popular when they made that game, and what made the characters likable. Just contributed to like an explosion in popularity for that franchise, or a re-explosion, just by being good, just by like having really polished mechanics and understanding what made your game lovable. They were able to not only recreate that, but make it better and more polished for, I think, 2019 or 2018, whenever the game came out. And now people are suddenly, even people who hadn't even played the original games, are suddenly clamoring for more DMC.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, in that sense, you are right. Like, thanks DMC for making a way better game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like
Fucking
as I said, they innovated. They found the secret code to making a better DMCA, and they dialed it in and made it. And just kudos to them. Hats off, because amazing execution, just amazing.
wait,
Um,
but yeah, isn't it like Itsuno that made? I can't. I think
I think
that's.
so. Yeah, I don't want to say, I can't remember. I have like 5 different Japanese video game directors floating around in my head. I can never remember which games they go to, but yeah,
I
yeah,
know
Yoshi P.
Inafune.
Yeah, exactly. They all float around in my head, and I know they did different things, but I can't remember what. Ugh.
Uh,
There's the dude who made Castlevania. I can't remember his name.
Igarashi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep. That was the right name. Speaking of which, Bloodstained is also an amazing franchise. Holy shit! I mean, he was like, in terms of indies that were done right, like just how we're gonna talk about like the failures of the dude who did Mighty Number Nine. Holy shit, Bloodstained has been both amazing and successful. Like even like the NES Castlevania remakes they made with Curse of the Moon, amazing, just amazing games. That are like basically like modern old school Castlevanias, but like fun and not like that you can play them. You can set the difficulty up, but like the base difficulty just like it takes Castlevania and makes it just not hard enough to be fun for even like a casual player. And like that's insane because those games were brutal as a youngster. But yeah, I mean and then it's, the difficulties there for if you want to play it, but they're just fun ass games. Especially the kind of uh Symphony of the Night one he tried to make with Ritual of the Night, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and I know I'm saying that wrong, but either way, the Bloodstained games are super effing good, and like again, like taking his experience from his old IPs, making a new IP based on those games. That's an example of it done right, because those games are excellent. Um, but yeah, so the big news for this week, Cyberpunk. I'm definitely curious to see whether that lives up to the hype. I definitely think it will, for the most part. Um, Again, I think the complaint, as long as there's very few bugs, I think the complaints will be far and few between, and more about the mechanics and the actual kind of like story stuff or the RPG stuff. Um, One of the other kind of big in the news things this week is HBO decided to, or Warner Media, I should say, because of COVID, decided to kind of give up on the exclusively released in theaters business model, and are gonna put everything on their slate for the next year up simultaneously on their digital service, HBO Max. while they have like limited theater releases for the theaters that are still open, because of COVID. And that's crazy. Like that's huge news. Like yes,
Yeah,
you
that's
had the
pretty cool.
limited case of Mulan, coming out on Disney Plus for $30 because they're experimenting. But no, HBO is just like no $30 for a new movie. If you have our service, we're just gonna give you new movies for like a month in which they come out just for having our service. That's nuts. That's like a huge move into a streaming future, with a feature that's actually kind of cool because being able to watch like theater movies at home, like when they come out, that's big move. That's big news.
Did they say it was a
Um,
permanent thing, or is it just kind of
they
like?
at least for 2021. But I actually had pulled up the 2021 release date just so I can kind of give you the idea of like how big these releases are gonna be. Yeah, let me pull it back up just so I can talk with you guys about it. But yeah, so they're starting with Wonder Woman 2, which again another movie was supposed to release earlier this year.
Isn't it 1984 or?
Yep, 1984. Wonder Woman 1984 was supposed to release earlier this year in theaters, didn't because of COVID. And now it's releasing on Christmas. It's releasing on the 25th. If you just have an HBO Max subscription, so I think between like 10 and I think $12 a month, you get a first run movie from the comfort of your own home. Like that's a big move. That's crazy. That's got so many implications for the future and whether or not theaters stick around. Because if this proves to be a lucrative business model, I mean, you could start seeing it, even post COVID, which I think is crazy, but also kind of awesome. Again, I wonder how they're going to keep piracy down because what's to stop someone from just like, oh, sweet, I'll just copy what's on my TV and put it on the internet. But at the same time, I mean, these movies have been sitting in the can too long and they're losing their investment, so they need to recoup somehow. That's why they're putting them back out there. But yeah, first big release, Wonder Woman 1984, December 25th. Next release, The Little Things, January 29th. Not really sure what that is. There's a Tom and Jerry movie with the little girl from Kick Ass. I can't remember. Help me out here.
I don't remember.
You know who I'm
name.
talking about,
I know
though,
who you're
right?
talking
Yeah.
about. I just don't know her
Yeah.
name.
I just it's escaping me for some reason because it's 4 a.m. But
Oh, wow,
yeah, yeah, she's gonna be in the Tom and Jerry movie. Don't get me wrong, it probably looks terrible, but I mean, hey, if I have the HBO Max, I can watch it. Mary Saints of Newmark, March 12th. I'm gonna skip to the big stuff right now. Godzilla versus King Kong, May 21st. So instead of going to the theaters and seeing big monsters kick each other's ass, you can now watch big monsters kick each other's ass from the comfort of your own home, man. You don't have to spend $10 on their popcorn. You can spend like 10 cents on your own popcorn.
And just to add to it on how big it is, think of it this way. Disney. You said they released Mulan like for 30. Was it like $30?
Yep, $30, $30. Yep.
I mean, for anybody that was planning to go see the movie in theaters, you're already paying like
At
you're
least
already
10 to 15 for new tickets. Yeah.
I
Right.
actually bought it. I had watched it.
Oof.
Yeah, and I heard it wasn't that good either. So
It's perfectly okay.
yeah, but no music, which was one of the good. It wasn't the best part of Mulan, but the songs were fun. No Mushu, which was the best part of Mulan, hands down. I mean,
Wait,
it's
okay,
fucking Eddie Murphy.
So basically, I just want to say real quick that
Yeah,
without the music or Mushu, it's what makes it so dull.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
There's probably not many light or comedic elements,
It
which help kind of
feels-
bring. Yeah,
it feels soulless.
yeah. That's a bummer.
Yeah,
I wanted to like Mushu. Mulan's probably one of my favorite Disney movies. Certainly one of my favorite Disney heroines because I mean she's one of the few that's like, no, I'm just gonna go kick my own ass. Like I don't need someone else to kick ass for me. I'm not gonna just go find magic to kick ass. I'm just gonna fucking hit the gym, do my laundry, delete Facebook, and
And we're
fuck
talking about like the OG
beat
Disney
beat
movies,
some
because
ass.
like
She
the
did.
newer movies are a little more. You got like Brave, you got like Frozen, you got
Which is cool.
Moana.
Yeah, a lot of movies have been moving in that direction, but Mulan was one of the first to do it, and I
Yeah.
think it was very It turned out to be a very, very entertaining movie. So yeah, I'm very disappointed that that sequel didn't kind of live up to it. I heard they did throw some like cool Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon stuff in there, where she was like running on walls and doing cool shit like that. Um, I probably would have leaned even harder into that if I were Disney, but yeah, from what I heard, that the end product didn't turn out to live up quite to the original.
Yeah.
Even though they sure as hell spent a ton of money on it. But yeah, $30 for that. Like
It
I
was
didn't want to
it was
spend the
rough.
$30 when it was coming out. Let alone I might have spent 10 or 15 to go see it in theaters myself. But $30 for that on a from the comfort of my own home, I don't know. And now that HBO is doing this for basically free, as long as you have the service, sign me up. I might sign up for the service on Christmas just for Wonder Woman. Like, to be quite honest, I'd be like, buy me a nice Christmas present to myself and watch Wonder Woman on Christmas Day, like on my fucking couch. Like, hell fucking yeah. But yeah, the Godzilla vs King Kong, super dope release coming out in May. Sequel to The Conjuring. I don't know how many Conjurings that is, but there's another one in June. Uh, Another huge sequel for people of our elderly age, but Space Jam 2: A New Legacy, July
Oof.
16th,
Is
which is
that
going to be the
actually coming out?
yep, July 16th. It's going to be the Space Jam with LeBron in it.
That's
So
actually happening.
yep, LeBron lobbied hard enough and finally got his Space Jam, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty much already been filmed. It's just kind of in the can waiting right now.
Everybody get up,
So yeah,
Space
let me Google it because I was actually hearing some news about it the other day about like the director doing another project after it. But yeah, no, we're getting a Space Jam sequel with your boy LeBron. Which I mean, I don't. There's no way it can live up to the original, just because I think it was made in an entire. It was made like 2 decades ago or 3 decades ago, technically. Like it was made in an entirely different um like era of comedy, and like I don't know if you've ever had this argument or discussion with people, but like comedy certainly changes every decade. Like every decade has different kind of feel of comedies.
LeBron
So
James.
there's no way this can live up to the original, in that just that era of comedy is kind of over. But it can still be funny. It can still be enjoyable. It can still have some fun callbacks. But yeah, no, it's gonna be directed by Malcolm D. Lee, which I'll look up what other stuff he's done later. But Ryan Coogler produced it. He was one of the people that worked on Black Panther. Sav Ohanian helped write it. Uh, he was, you probably never seen Searching, but he was one of the writers for Searching. There's a new movie on Hulu called Run. I think he worked on that. A decently up and coming Hollywood writer. It's gonna have Don Cheadle, Sonequa Martin Green. To anyone who ever watches this and watches Star Trek Discovery, she's the woman who plays Michael Burnham. So at least that's where you know her from. Let's see. Music by Hans Zimmer. So we might get some dope Inception, blah blah, all that good stuff. And yeah, budget 183.7 million. So I mean, LeBron probably took a budget cut just to have this movie.
Just a little bit.
It's a little bit, because he just really wanted his own Space Jam. But yeah, LeBron's getting a Space Jam. So now we'll get to compare Michael Jordan's bad acting to LeBron's bad acting, which
Oh,
I actually think will be pretty entertaining.
LeBron
Because
James.
I'm really curious as to who's the worst actor.
You wanna stack? You sure you wanna stack those odds?
I don't. That could be tough. I don't. LeBron grew up in that commercial age, so I mean, he at least does some like commercial voiceovers. He showed up in a couple movies before. Like, I don't know if his acting chops are better than Mike's, but I'm gonna say he's probably had a little bit more experience doing some Hollywood shit. But yeah, I expect this to be bad, but hopefully it's entertaining bad. You know what I mean? Like, there's still a level of bad this could be and still be entertaining. But yeah, I'm very curious. I for LeBron's sake, because I mean he did this for him. Don't get me wrong, he didn't do this for us. He did this for him. Uh, so for LeBron's sake, I hope it's not terrible. Um, I hope that it at least gets like a six out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like anything under a 5, I just start feeling bad for LeBron. You know what I mean? at that point, because I'm like, bro, I mean, I know you wanted this as a vanity project, but at a certain point, if it's bad enough, I would have just been like, you know what, I'll contract to cancel the whole thing so other people don't have to suffer through it. But yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed. But I hope it's at least bad, but in an enjoyable way. That's all I can think of to say about that. But yeah, I mean, this will be again, we haven't had an athlete vanity project movie in a while, so I'm cautiously optimistic, or at least curious. But okay, so the next big one, this is a very big one for later on in the year. The Suicide Squad reboot slash sequel. I say reboot slash sequel because while I enjoyed parts of the first Suicide Squad movie, and let's be honest, that soundtrack was fire. It was not a good movie.
I have
Um,
not seen Suicide Squad actually.
Neither
it's,
have I.
it's so honestly, it's one of those movies that suffers not from badly written characters, because the characters were honestly competently written for a superhero movie, which is already a qualifier for not having amazingly written characters. But I mean, serviceable writing for a superhero movie. It's that it wasn't a heist movie. It was a like, let's go up and like, it was let's travel these city blocks and like fight a big. I'm just like, wait, you make a movie about criminals, but it's not a heist movie? Like, I don't understand that. Like, all movies about criminals should be heist movies. Like, that's kind of the central thing you expect when you make a movie about criminals. But whatever, man. That movie, the writing of that movie eludes me. There's some pretty cringe scenes where like you realize about like halfway through the last boss fight that the last boss was jobbing the whole time, and you're just like, but why? You have no reason not to kill them all. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like James Bond level. Like, I'm gonna make this elaborate trap with a shark, and then take all the guards off duty, not because I I want you to die, but really I just want to come up with an elaborate means for escape because I don't want to have to handle the cleanup. Like, it's just something dumb like that. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's like
I
a
don't get
really
it.
eccentric.
Like, there's a scene where like she yanks all their weapons out of her hands with her like magical telekinesis, and I'm like, wait, you couldn't have just done that from the start? You had to wait till like halfway through and they started pissing you off? Like, is this Power Rangers? Like, are you trying to loot? Like, it was real bad. But I mean, the Suicide Squad is enjoyable. It's not a good movie, but it's enjoyable. This one, they got James Gunn hopping on to direct. James Gunn's great. He was the guy who directed Guardians of the Galaxy, which everybody loved. He took characters that no one knew about and made them likable. He switched teams, but Warner Brothers is basically hoping he can do it again with Suicide Squad. One of the only big returning people is Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, um, which, to be honest, like, that's probably the only thing people cared about returning. I mean, Will Smith's Deadshot was entertaining, but I mean, after how badly the first one did, I'm not surprised he's not coming back. Uh, and yeah, I mean, same with the other characters; they're all kind of throwaway after that. But no, I'm actually pretty excited for the new Suicide Squad. I think like, if you're gonna call anyone to try to salvage a franchise, make a reboot, make something, have a redemption arc, because that's basically what this is, the Suicide Squad redemption arc. James Gunn is a good guy to call, so I'm curiously excited for it. And again, as long as you have HBO Max, free on HBO Max, baby. Um, so after that in October, you have Dune. Very excited for Dune. If you're a fan of sci-fi, you love Dune. I'm not gonna say that. If you're a fan of sci-fi and read Dune, you probably love Dune. I've never actually finished the movie of Dune, but I have read the book. The first movie of Dune, this is obviously like a reboot of Dune. But it's just an incredible book. Um, it's by one of my favorite directors of all time, uh, Denis Villeneuve. I'm saying that wrong. Probably Denis Villeneuve. I don't know. I'm terrible at pronouncing French last names. Either or. Uh, Great director. Made Blade Runner 2049, which is probably my favorite movie of the last decade. Just incredible movie, incredible reboot. He and not reboot, sequel. He wrote a sequel to a movie that a lot of people didn't think a good sequel could be written to. Um, which is the first Blade Runner. Later on in that, so super excited for that. Good cast also. Batista, from Guardians of the Galaxy and wrestling fame is in that. Drax, people like Drax. Dave Batista is actually a really good character actor too. If you've seen any other stuff he's done, so I'm actually pretty excited for that. Later on in the year, December of 21, Matrix 4, which I want to hear your thoughts, Josh and Matt, about sequels that maybe didn't need to be made, because I'm feeling the Matrix 4 is a sequel that didn't need to be made, but I want to hear your opinions on that. So please tell me what you think the Matrix 4 will add to the overall universe of the Matrix.
Not gonna lie, I have not seen The Matrix.
Well,
Oh no,
I
where are we? You guys still here?
the stream.
Yeah, can you hear me?
August.
Hello?
August, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Too.
Wait, so have I been just talking to myself for the past 20 minutes, or have you guys heard me?
No, we heard you.
We heard you.
I
Yep.
said that I have not seen
Yep.
The Matrix.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello. August.
Okay, good. Whew. I was-
So,
Okay.
basically, I don't know why they're
Okay, so you guys haven't seen The Matrix?
I've seen The Matrix.
What? My Discord isn't doing audio. Give me a second. What is going on? I'm gonna disconnect and reconnect. Hold on. Hello?
Hello.
Welcome back.
Sweet. Okay, so yeah. So did you guys hear all my spiel about all the movies?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
good.
The Matrix. Okay, so here's the thing. I thought The Matrix 3 sucked.
I did too.
That
But
movie is garbage.
for different reasons than the actual end, which I didn't like because it wasn't a happy ending, but like it was not a bad ending.
It's
for the
overall
franchise.
just a shitty movie.
Oh, 100%. It's yeah. I kind of agree with you there.
It basically like it takes everything that's like dope about The Matrix 1 and 2 and then it just like flushes it all down the toilet.
Yep.
And it's like Neo's hardly in the movie.
I wouldn't even say The Matrix 2 was that good a movie, honestly. I think it was cool. It had great action scenes, but in terms of adding to the plot of the universe, it didn't do much of anything. Like it felt it honestly kind of to me fell in the category of unnecessary sequels.
Well,
Like I'm not saying that like you should have left the franchise alone after The Matrix 1, but 2 and up until the ending of 3 didn't really add a whole lot to the universe.
right. 2 actually just made the story more convoluted.
It did. It did.
And then like it basically I feel like if you watch Matrix 1 and then you watch 2, you're like, "Whoa, this is first of all, it's a completely different movie."
100%. 100%. Almost different franchise, but yeah, definitely different movie.
Yeah, it's like a completely different movie. It's like sets the pace all different and shit. And then it's like there are certain questions that never really get answered. Um, but I don't know. I just thought like other than the action in that movie, which is like really in Matrix 2, which is like really really good. Like yeah, I would say that it's just a convoluted plot.
Yeah. It just feels like an unnecessary action sequel. It doesn't really add anything to the plot or philosophy of the story. I would say the ending of 3 kind of does. Like I've gone back and watched videos analyzing like the end of the Matrix in 3 and actually like providing some good reasons why the end of 3 kind of adds to the overall like philosophy and universe of the Matrix. But I mean, like basically only the end of the movie does that. Like the rest of the movie doesn't really do a whole lot.
I have no
Nor
idea.
does 2. 2 doesn't really do anything.
I have no idea what the hell they're gonna do.
I don't either. I have no idea.
Like what are they?
I mean, Neo's dead, or if he's not dead, he's like part of the system now. It's very vague.
Well, he's the well. I mean, it kind of didn't.
So, I mean, supposedly he got copied over, and then the lack of absence of an antithesis, if we're gonna get into the philosophy of the Matrix,
Oh,
destroyed Smith because he didn't have anything to fight against so he imploded because
Basically, he's just
philosophy reasons.
a virus in the machine that just got deleted.
Yeah.
And then it's like, first of all, the fact that the ending's just like, well, he died and everything started over, and it's like, well, what the fuck's the point of this movie?
Yeah.
What's the point
Yeah.
of the
No,
movie
it's
if
yeah. It's
if everybody didn't get saved?
it's super fucking weird, bro. I 100% agree.
Well,
I 100% agree.
that's what I'm saying. Is
the
it just felt like it was like,
2 and 3 don't really add as much. It's just yeah. Again, they're just they're not as good a compliment. They're not as complete a package as the first movie is by itself. 100% agree. They open more questions than they do answer questions.
yeah, but it's just because that the first movie was literally like, it was revolutionary. I mean, I think it was revolutionary. At least, like, they used all the different and new technology in it. Like they rotoscope. No, I don't want to say rotoscope, but they did like the whole 360 camera thing with Neo, like bending backwards and stuff. And like, how iconic is that like thing of him bending back too? Like, how many other things have parodied that? Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you.
where did August go?
Uh-oh. Maybe he's having connection issues.
He's forgot to pay his internet.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're
Welcome
back.
back.
Okay, yeah, I guess I am having connection issues. Weird. So yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with you there, and it's frustrating because I would say it was also one of the first Western movies to basically be like, yes, so we're gonna take the amazing choreography of kung fu movies and then just incorporate that into the movie naturally, but without the kung fu setting. Like
Yeah.
the fight choreography in The Matrix is amazing,
Yeah, it's really
and
good.
it's like kung fu movie level fight choreography, but without the whole backdrop of being a kung fu movie. It was definitely, in my opinion, one of the first Hollywood movies to have like not cliche shitty jump cut, or like fucking Star Trek TOS level terrible fighting.
Well, I mean, you could also say that like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon probably influenced it quite a bit.
Oh, I agree. I agree too.
Even though
But it was
that
cool. It was like I think those movies set the stage for Marvel movies because Marvel movies have amazing fight choreography too, but they're not kung fu movies.
yeah, I mean, I don't. They do have good. They have great action scenes every time. Yeah, it's really exciting. But what was I gonna say about the freaking goddamn? Oh, actually, I think, come to think of it, I think Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is actually a pretty like overrated movie.
Really, I liked it a lot. I mean, granted, there are better kung fu movies out there.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
for,
Like, it's a
yeah.
mediocre kung fu movie that just like got really famous.
Wasn't it like a yeah? As I said, it definitely really heavily appealed to Western audiences. And I
For
don't know if
whatever
that was due
reason.
to marketing or if that was due to
Number
something
one,
as part of
make
the
it
filming of the movie.
so.
But yeah, I mean, I still enjoy it. It was still cool.
Hold on one sec. Somebody gave us a follow.
Hey, it's your boy.
Was it you, Josh?
Oh, you add me as a friend, so I add you.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. So
You didn't get to play the follow sound.
the follow sound.
Yeah, didn't you make a follow sound?
A
You sent me the two sound. You made like a follow and a sub sound.
Oh yeah, that was the follow sound.
Oh, I didn't play. I didn't hear it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it like I sent a friend request and I guess and Twitch.
You want me to unfollow and then follow so that we can play the sound again?
Yes, please.
Sure.
If that works, I don't know if that works.
Number one, make it so.
Rip.
How do we?
Yeah.
how do you guys feel about the stuff? I mean, if you don't think
Did it
it's
play?
yeah,
didn't-
Yeah, I
see it
played. I
play.
heard it.
Damn
It
it! I
said
didn't
number
see
one,
it.
make it so.
Oh shit! I have the
I think
stream
you need a
audio turned off.
notification.
Oh, okay. I thought. Okay, we do one more time for me.
All right. So I think there should be. Oh, I'll be quiet.
Okay, that's really cool. You guys still there?
yeah. I don't think
Okay.
he didn't play it, did he?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, It played for me.
All right, don't worry about it. Either way, that's awesome. Now he's played it for me before. I'll catch it on the VOD. But yeah, no, I thought there was gonna be like a little. I thought there was gonna be more than a sound. Like I thought like a little like thing was gonna pop up too on the screen. I know
Yeah.
some streamers do that, where like a little
Oh,
banner pops out.
yeah, right. That was I don't think. Did you follow? Josh didn't follow, right? He just he friended and unfriended me. But I think I can actually test the widget here.
Number one, make it so.
Yeah, I guess it didn't pop up. I don't know why. I'll have to
Oh.
fix it. I'll have to fix it later.
We'll figure it out. But yeah. So I don't know if a Matrix 4 is gonna do anything more than 2 or 3 did, other than make the story more convoluted. But we're getting one, so yeah, that's a thing, I guess.
Bring it all back.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. We're on that 30-year nostalgia train, baby. Bring it all back.
Speaking of nostalgia train, let's talk about what games or movies do we think need to get, like, we got like Spyro, we got Crash Bandicoot, we got like medieval games that got like remastered and HD graphics
I
and all
think this
that.
is such an expansive topic that, like, I honestly think, like, if we do anything we don't think of today, we should bring back on another podcast, because that's an amazing start of podcast topic. Because we go on at length for that one, but
Yeah, let's
yeah,
save it
like,
for another day then.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
okay, let's benchmark that, because I feel like we're running up close to time here. We might squeeze out another like 10-15 minutes, but I gotta go to bed. By go to bed, I mean go get a coffee and get more shit done that I'm procrastinating on. Sleep is for the weak. No, but what else? Um, but yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff that if we want to talk about like stuff that should be rebooted, or get a reboot, yeah, we can definitely go on at length about that another day, because I think there's a lot of stuff that should be rebooted. Um, I think an easy segue from that topic also would be like stuff that has only been done in like a book or a movie or a film or a game that we think would make a great transition into like another one of those medias, like things that were like this book would make a great game, or this movie would make a great game, or this book would make a great movie. I definitely think we could definitely spend some time working with that topic. But yeah, that'll be for later. Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
mean, maybe we'll do we can do another podcast.
I would, dude. I'd love another pre-podcast.
Yeah,
Another,
precast.
yeah, precast, pre-podcast.
Yeah, I'd definitely be down for it too.
So
Yeah, no, this was dope. I'm definitely gonna go back and listen to the VOD of this like later.
yeah.
Just because, dude, we had some pretty dope talk.
So
But yeah,
whatever. I mean, the only other thing is that like whatever you want to like do with the like the image or how do I put it? Like what's the podcast going to look like, when it uploads, where are we going to upload it to? All very important questions.
yeah, no, we'll figure that out. As I said, like I don't know. We'll have to look at like what the easiest podcast network is. Like I know I have a friend who does his podcast on Castbox. Um, I wonder how easy it is to do it in other formats. Like eventually get this to Spotify, since I love Spotify and I use Spotify. But I mean, I'm assuming that's not easy to do, and I don't want to put all the technical work on you. So we can all figure that out.
All right. Well,
but-
I mean, do you want me to give you? I mean, if you want access to the VODs, you're more than welcome
yeah,
to download it.
we'll talk about that out later. We'll figure that out. I'll message you later on this week. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it right now, but yeah, we'll talk about it, because yeah, we definitely like Josh. Would you be interested in like us three doing like a podcast at some point or something like that?
I'd definitely be interested. I think
Yeah,
just
we can
lining
have
up my
that. I mean,
schedule.
you don't have to
both
make it like
years.
every week. We can like drop in and drop out, or do whatever we want. Like, I mean, if it's digital, it can be on our own schedule.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if we don't have this many followers now. We don't need a schedule yet. Um. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about it. We can all figure out the details. I mean, it doesn't always have to be us three. When we can bring on guests or different other people, stuff like that. I've just always wanted to do a podcast, so
Yeah.
I
Yep,
think
podcast
like
sounds like
getting Yeah, getting other talking about things would be super cool. But what else? So yeah, last couple movies that are big. While wrapping up on the Warner Brothers thing, is the trequel, the third movie. And it's not doesn't really a trilogy. Things aren't really trilogies anymore because a trilogy implies a complete story. Well, this is really just the third sequel, so I'm gonna call it a trequel. But the Sherlock Holmes franchise with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law.
Wait, that's happening?
Yep, is that coming out tomorrow? Not tomorrow. Next year in December on HBO Max.
Sick.
So it's already in the can. I liked the first two, honestly. I thought those were both really fun movies. I thought Robert Downey Jr. was a great Sherlock Holmes. I don't know. What do you guys think about those?
I like them. I thought they were good
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, they were entertaining. They're less posh than the Doctor Strange, Benedict, come diddly bunch, Sherlock
He,
TV show,
oh
which
yeah.
definitely got up its own ass, especially after like the second to last season. Oh my god, the fact that like, so like, I'm not gonna call this bad writing. It's bad writing. I just don't want to call it bad writing. But so I don't know if you've seen any of that show. I'm not gonna spoil much of it for you, but essentially one of the plots of the second to last season is that like he kills himself. Technically, it's faking his own death, but the way they wrote it, they couldn't figure out a way to unwrite it. So the central conceit of the first episode of the season after that is that they just come up with a bunch of ways that he could have faked his own death as jokes, but they never explain how they did it because even they couldn't write themselves out of the corner. It's that stupid. Like, can you imagine just being like, "Oh, he did it somehow"? We can talk about how he could have done it, but we'll never actually tell you how. Like, isn't that such a dick move? My God! And then from that then on, after that show was like that show just killed itself, man. It had done. I like there's that the expression of like a show just going too far, or jumping the shark, and after that, like, the show was insufferable. It was consistently writing plots its actual writing couldn't cash. Like it was like there's an expression of like writing checks your mouth can't cash. It was writing like plots and scenarios that it just couldn't find a way to make realistic within its own writing. So like the show was forever up its own ass after that because it was just like like these episodes have gotten dumb. Like they went from cool to dumb. Congratulations, show. You ruined it.
You did it.
But yeah, I mean that show started off really cool and really quirky, and it was fun to have like just weird, kind of disaffected. I'm not going to call him on the spectrum Sherlock Holmes. I think that's not a fair uh, assessment of any of the characters nor people on the spectrum. But like, it was definitely like Sherlock Holmes. Like when you watch the show, you like something is wrong with that man. I don't know what, but something is wrong with that man. Um, but it was an entertaining show, but it got insufferable after a certain point. It definitely needed to kind of it was too clever for its own good. It tried to be too clever for its own good, and I think that's kind of where the show kind of fell apart. But on the upside, it did give us Benedict Cumberbatch and great actor, been a bunch of great stuff. Was pretty good in Doctor Strange, even though I kind of wanted a little bit more humor in that movie.
Yeah.
I wanted Benedict Cumberbatch to be funny, and I guess I was asking too much because that's not what happened in that movie at all. I think he was like the opposite of funny, if anything, in that movie.
Yeah, totally.
Like at least Tony Stark can be funny. I don't know what the hell Doctor Strange is doing, but it's not. It's that ain't it, Chief.
It ain't good.
Yeah, but yeah, I give me funny Benedict Cumberbatch. That's all I wanted, and that's not what I got for my Christmas present that year. I got coal instead, but sometimes it happens.
Oh yeah. No, wait. August. When's your birthday again?
The 15th,
Number one,
October.
make it so.
So yeah, of October.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you gotta censor that in the VOD, so like my private information isn't out there, bruh.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't care that much.
I'm
but
just
maybe I'll
gonna
do a special podcast.
I'm just gonna rip all the footage out of this and then just convert it.
Timestamp it like 2:44 is, or I guess it was a little bit before 2:44.
It's okay. I mean I'm gonna have to make an intro or an outro maybe. I don't know what to do. So that's the thing. Is we can talk
we'll
about
talk
that
about it
later.
over the course of next week. We can figure out how we want to handle this first episode or second pre-episode. I suppose the first time we all hung out was technically the first episode.
Yeah.
But but yeah, you can add in like hilarious sound effects to my like when I say my birthday, or something.
Hilarious sound effects.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
add that.
like you go look by a sound machine and just boop 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 stuff out there. But no. But yeah, Sherlock Holmes. I'm curious for another Sherlock Holmes movie. I enjoyed the Robert Downey Jr. ones anymore. I thought they were just fun. They were just fun. That was the best part about them. They didn't ask you to do too much. They didn't do too much themselves. They were just fun. Um, and then we're getting last but not least TBA 2021, which means it probably won't come out next year, but it could. Is we will get a new Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that
Well,
could be.
Is it supposed to be like the new Mortal Kombat is does it have Robin Chow in it, or is it a reboot?
I don't remember who's in like the cast. I know they've talked a little about it. But yeah, I mean it's a new live action Mortal Kombat movie. I mean I think that's a cool idea. I mean if you could make a movie just half as charming or enjoyable as those like '90s cheese fests, I'd be happy. That's all I really want. I just want a '90s cheese fest in 2020.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's kind of like an old reliable hamburger at like your local hamburger shop. Like it's simple, but you'll love it, and that's what I want.
also, to be that guy,
Yeah.
because I'm that guy. If you also want us to get more views, you can also go ahead and you can watch the stream on your phone as well.
What
But
does that do? I'm confused.
I don't know. It just does things.
Just
Yeah.
make sure you're not logged in on your phone, because I don't know
Oh,
if it counts.
okay. Is that so? Is that why we have a fourth viewer, a fourth magical viewer right now?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, someone's in here being cool. Shout out to the one person that like showed up.
Shout outs
And
to
our, like, random-
the dope guy over there, number
Yeah.
4.
Shout out to the random one person who shows up in our impromptu podcast. It's if you want to go back and watch the VOD, it is actually a good time. You should do that. Check that out.
A whole hearty 2
but,
hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, whoever you are, random mysterious guest, thank you for stopping by. We appreciate that.
Yeah, you kick ass.
Yeah. Shout outs.
And whether you've been here 5 minutes, 10, 15, or
Yeah.
something, hopefully you enjoyed it.
Yep. You help make this all possible.
You
Brought to us by viewers like you.
viewers like you.
But
Now,
yeah,
we need to talk to you guys about a thing called Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh
yeah,
no.
oh my god! If only we could get that.
When are we gonna-
Raid Shadow Legends money?
We gotta get it.
I hear they paid like some nice bucks too for that Raid Shadow Legends money, bro. Give me that the Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship. But
That's how you know you
yeah,
made it.
yeah, that's kind of the wrap up of the HBO Max deal. But yeah, no, I'm excited. Like I think, like as I said, I don't know if it's something that'll go forward, but like this, everything's an experiment, everything's a test, and now we will have the data, in part because of COVID. But we will have the data to see whether or not like fresh run movies on a a Netflix like network is something that's financially worth it. And I think it'll be cool to see. It'll be cool to experience it too. So I definitely think I might get myself an HBO Max subscription on Christmas just to see what it's about for next year.
That sounds dope.
But yeah, do you guys have any? I will probably only go for maybe like 10 more minutes.
No,
But do you guys have any other topics you guys want to do?
No lie, I think we should probably wrap it up. Just because
Okay.
I want to at least be able to ask your opinion, on what I should do with this video, because I still don't know what to do, and any ideas would just be great.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
I don't know, Josh. You have anything else, or you just want to wrap?
Nah, nothing comes to mind.
Yeah. There's gonna be
I think it's
no,
probably,
okay.
yeah, I think it's probably a good ending point.
Yeah, no, I
feel if we start any other topic, we're gonna fucking go down.
Oh yeah,
the
go
rabbit
on
hole,
another
so.
30 minutes. Yeah, no, we definitely went in deep today. Yeah, no, I'm good with wrapping it. Like we can just end the stream and then just chat on Discord. But thank you, random person, for stopping by, and yeah, no, hopefully we'll get a couple more people, or you'll come back for our next pre-podcast podcast, or whatever that is. As I said, come back here, visit the backlog, and whether or not you catch it live or catch our VODs, you can check us out and check out our boy Matt, who heads up the stream.
June. Oh yeah, you guys have a good night. Wait,
Yep.
wait, did I miss something?
Well, no, we're taking it over the Discord, so I guess we're stopping the cast. But
All right, yep. You guys, peace out.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take it easy, guys.